What the heck? That was freaky. All of a sudden, we were in the middle of nowhere. I was really getting into it. And then Donnie came in here and just like, bam, 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 bam. I hope you enjoyed that because Lord knows YouTube's going to make me take that the heck down. Lord knows they're not going to let me leave Sinatra up there. Although he sounded a little, I'm not sure it was Sinatra. I think it was someone else. It sounded like more, maybe Como. I'm not sure. That didn't sound like Sinatra version, but whoever's version it was, it sounded better than I would sound. That's for sure. That I can promise you. And I'm also like 98% sure they're gonna make me take it down. They're gonna be like, "You're trying to steal money. You're trying to steal from them by like using the." It's not the song. It's not the same song. The lyrics have been changed. It's a parody of the song. It's not the same song. I don't know. Maybe it's an AI voice. Maybe I'll get away with it. I got a feeling it's not gonna fly. Someone's gonna make a claim on that one. Definitely. Where was I? What was I gonna? What did I forget to say? Oh yeah. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Neerman, aka Good Logic. Big show for you tonight. Big show. I had a thought. I really had a plan. There was a plan at 8:30. I had a plan, and this was the plan. The plan was this. I was like, I ain't really been much of a lawyer late. I had a client of mine. This is like the first client I ever had who called me up tonight, and he was like asking me. He'll come to me for legal stuff every once in a while, and he was asking me to like look at this document and asked me he's like, tell me what it is and what you charge me for and how long it'll take you to go through it. And I was like, so I started looking at it and I was like, this is only 15 pages. It'll take me 45 minutes to go through this, an hour to go through this. But then I was like looking at page one and I was like, no, this document is dependent on another document. It's like reference. It's incorporating by reference. That's the legal term. Incorporating by reference, no fewer than 5 other documents, some of which are like several hundred pages, and basically saying this agreement is subject to all of those, which means I need to go through all of those. And I was just like, if I'm going to do it right, I'm going to do it right at least. So I was like, I start spelling out for him and WhatsApp message to him. I'm saying to him, I was like, dude, to do this like a real lawyer, because sometimes clients don't really care for you to like actually put in that level of work. And you sort of, to serve a client properly, you sort of need to know what do they want from you. Sometimes I have a client who is like, hey, the guy on the other side of the deal with me is like a close friend. I'm not really worried he's going to screw me, but I want to have something there memorializing it. That happens a lot. So like, don't like get all ticky tacky and, break the deal here over like the terminology and stuff like that. Just give me something that like, looks presentable, that God forbid, if there's some sort of massive conflict, it's written down. That's a common thing. That's a common thing, especially, when you're a solo practitioner, you get a lot of people come into you like that. Sometimes they're basically fighting against someone or coming to terms with someone that they don't know at all. And they're like, no, I need you to like actually go through this, make sure, because these people will rip me off if they can. So you sort of need to make sure so I was like, do you know these people? He's like, no. He's like, they're very professional. I was like, if they're very professional, you need to approach this very professionally, which means you can't just look at these 15 pages. You got to be looking at hundreds of pages of work here. Anyway, the reason I bring this up is because I don't want to practice law. Everyone knows I don't want to practice law anymore. For that guy, I don't know. He was my first client. I have a very hard time saying no to him. So, but yeah, I don't want to, but it got me into lawyer mode. You know what I'm saying? Like I just started like breaking down. I was like, oh, we got bylaws over here, house rules. I'm dealing with like all these different, things and starting to like break this down in my brain. I'm getting back into lawyer mode. And when I get into lawyer mode, I was like, you know what? I should be doing lawyer mode on the show. I know I told Jim Satala, I was like, hey, I'm going to be bringing you on tomorrow. I spoke with him yesterday. I said, Jim, I'm going to have you on tomorrow. We're going to do it. And he was like all gung ho on it. And that's where I really was at. That's where I really was at, especially because there was one thing that I really wanted to do, a real lawyer type thing, lawyer type work. Because lawyer type work, look, they'd be like, Joe, you spent all those years in freaking law school, all those years practicing law, all those years just like, investing yourself, learning about this stuff. You're talking politics all day long. You understand you cover some legal cases here and there, but every once in a while, if you actually, did a little like legal type work, Joe, a little bit, just flex the so like people remember that you once practiced law. In that case, someone's like, you know what? Oral arguments on tariffs. This is something I could really sink my teeth into. I was like, I think I actually want to watch that. It's probably a couple of hours. I was like, let me check out how long it is. I said, let me check that out. Let me do that. I think that's what we're going to do. I think we're going to listen to oral arguments from SCOTUS. That was the plan. I was like, what am I going to tell Jim? Oh my God, what the heck am I going to tell Jim? I was like, well, I don't know. When I was poking around briefly, there was nothing really going on in the news. There was nothing really going on. So then Jim calls me up and he's like, so what time you want to go? So what time, his voice, right? It's like, so what time you want to go? So I'm like, Jim, anything really big happened today in the news? And he's like, dude, are you crazy? I sent you like 30 massive stories. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, hello? And he just starts listing them off. And I was like, oh my God, I definitely got to talk about that. Oh no, I got to talk about that for sure. I mean, you got Maureen Comey and Epstein developments going on here. Ex-NFL star Antonio Brown being indicted for murder. For freaking murder? He's Antonio Brown, lunatic Antonio Brown, brought in from Dubai for murder. I was like, what the heck? I have to cover this. Anyway, bottom line, this is a very, very lengthy way of me explaining to you how the whole flow that was supposed to be happening. I didn't even mention the biggest one is John Brennan being indicted, potentially. DOJ is ramping up to go after him. And then he starts going through these other side stories, which you can't really sink your teeth into for very long. But I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing. Oh, I didn't know about that. Oh, who knew about that? And I was just like, oh my God. Anyway, bottom line, when all is said and done, hey, Jim, how's it going?
Hey, what's up? I was like, what's going on? What is he talking about?
Hey, Jim.
Yeah, there's quite a few stories today. There's a few stories. Quite
a few stories.
Couple two tree stories.
Today. Yeah. I don't do a very good Jim tells you impression, but that's okay. That was that was my evening so far.
If you totally forgot that Trump declared war on the fatties,
and Trump declaring war on the fatties. Yes, he did. Anyway, how you doing, Jim?
I'm doing good.
Yeah. You got your new computer up and running?
Tomorrow. Getting it tomorrow. It's coming in tomorrow.
Oh, that's very exciting.
Coming in tomorrow.
It's very
exciting. Very exciting. So hopefully it'll get here in the morning.
I wish you nothing but blessing and success through all your endeavors that take place through that computer.
I hope so.
All right.
Ooh, buddy.
All right. Where are we? Maine voted in.
We have that story.
That's one of them.
That's one of them.
That's remember there's lots more. Whenever you see lots more, when you see lots more, that's what that means. Lots more. There's
also an illegal alien mayor in Kansas.
Yeah. Did you hear about the Dallas player? I was thinking about did you hear about the Dallas player who committed suicide?
No, I didn't.
It's not even a joke. I mean,
like a football player?
Yeah, defensive player, like active football player, committed suicide yesterday.
Oh, I wonder if it has anything to do with TBI, like traumatic brain injury or something, maybe, or.
I don't know. No one really knows what led to it, but I mean, the jokes sort of write themselves, because if you know anything about like the Cowboy defense, it's like, the jokes sort of write themselves about like why he would kill himself, even though he actually, the guy Marshall Nealon, he actually made a great play this past week, and like on a block punt. Covering the end zone, and now he's gone, which is genuinely sad. So Anyway, yeah. So there's a lot of side things. I'll bring that one in. When the time comes, if and when the time comes, are the Las Vegas Raiders producing the show tonight? I don't even know what's going on in that game. I stopped watching that game at 7-0 Raiders. So I would prefer if no one tells me anything. But yeah. Off topic, but I just read a study that says that being able to tap your phone or card makes things feel 15% cheaper. So just keep that in mind. Nice. Can you tap your cards against the phone and like sort of send super chats? I just want to know, so it's cheaper. It's no big deal. Just hit your card. That makes a lot of sense. It does feel free. It feels free when you do it that way. AB extradited to New Jersey. I thought you were supposed to be tried and found guilty before he sentenced to play for the Jets.
I thought it said he got extradited to Miami.
That's what Jim was telling me. Miami. Jim was telling me Miami. Maybe I'm not sure. Maybe he's making a joke about how bad the Jets are. So I have a feeling that's what Kevin is saying. Anyway, so what I did was I put up there that I'm going to be doing a show. Tonight's goal is 15 yellows, which is $10 super chats or more, or rants. Rants count. I need 15 of them. And I'll be doing if we get that, I'll do a show Saturday night. I'll bring back viewers' discretion. Yeah. Start getting into that mojo. Start getting into that viewers' discretion mojo. I'm very amped up because, in case you can't tell, part of it is because, thank God, and it's purely all God, my eye feels like a million times better. So I don't even notice it, even though Lady Logic thinks that my eyes don't look as beautiful as they once did. I heard that from her today. She was just like, what happened?
They're still beautiful.
You used to be so handsome. And I was just like, but I don't know. Anyway. I trading in beauty for wisdom. What can I tell you? I'm ragging on her. She's getting annoyed at me. I'm just joking. Anyway. What do you guys? So what are we starting with, Jim? Let's get started.
I thought we start with Antonio Brown because
you want to start with Antonio Brown?
Sure. I got basically a story from June when he was indicted, or whatever. Police issue arrest warrant for ex-NFL star Antonio Brown on charges of attempted murder. Miami-Dade County officials have issued an arrest warrant for ex-NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown on an attempted murder charge. Now, I think probably half my audience is women. I'm just going statistically, and based on what YouTube tells me, that roughly half my audience is women. And of the women, and yeah, I guess there's a certain percentage of men, I assume that 50% of you might have heard, probably know who Antonio Brown is. And probably at least 40% of you don't know much about him, if anything. So for those of you in the 40%, I want you to appreciate that Antonio Brown was a particularly prolific wide receiver who spent much of his career starting off on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he started off as basically a pretty good wide receiver who developed into a friggin' stud. He was a superstar. He was a great. He was the one that did the one-handed catch, right? Or no?
No, that you're thinking of Odell Beckham Jr.
Odell Beckham Jr. Okay.
And frankly, it's weird how OBJ gets so much love for that catch, considering how often that happens. Because wide receivers make one-handed catches all the time. I guess maybe it's more common now than it was when OBJ did it, but you see it happen every 3 weeks as a highlight reel thereabouts. It happens 3 or 4 times a season. Someone will make a highlight catch, sometimes in the end zone, the way he did. Not always. Anyway, that was a great catch, not to detract from OBJ. But OBJ's status as a star was this flaming thing that went up and came right back down faster than RuPaul. And the Antonio Brown was like a stud in the league for years, and then he started bouncing around different teams. And what people started saying about him in the NFL is he had a reputation for being a bit of a hothead. If you look at my thumbnail, you see that picture of Antonio Brown topless.
The reason that's a significant picture, I don't usually put up pictures. If you go through the history, the legacy of Good Logic thumbnails, not too many topless individuals that you're going to find. He might be the first I've ever put up there. And the reason that I thought that picture was significant is because if you're an NFL fan, that was a climactic moment in the career of Antonio Brown, who had been feuding with one team after another and was considered a problem player when he was on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Got into an argument in the middle of a game, I think when they were playing the Jets. It got into an argument in the middle of the game with his coach and literally ripped his jersey off there on the field and was like pointing at like basically saying, "I'm out." And like in the middle of the field, he basically ripped his jersey off, which I don't know if any other NFL player has ever done that, like not in a display of outrage, before storming off and then basically being released by the Buccaneers for that display. And I think that might have been his last game that he ever played. I don't believe he ever played after that. And
was that when Brady was with the Bucs?
I think he was there. Yeah, I think it was when Brady was with the Bucs. Yeah. And then everyone was thinking, okay, if anyone could be a calming influence on him, it would be Tom Brady, right? You'd think that, the mentorship of the older veteran, arguably greatest quarterback of all time, and that he would be a mentor and a inspiration to keep the guy calm. Nothing worked. So now the warrant stems from an incident in May. So now you know who Antonio Brown is. The warrant stems from an incident in May where a 36-year-old was detained after an altercation outside a celebrity boxing event led to gunfire. Officers responded to the area after receiving an alert from the gunshot detection system. I'm gonna say this. If you're hanging out in a place that has a gunfire detection system, I'm just saying, you might want to like reassess your life choices. You just might want. It's like this is not a gunfire detection system. An alert. The only reason you put a gunfire detection system in there is because you got feelings. You got feelings that there's a good chance that we may be alerted to gunfire at this particular location. So that's why I'm saying, yeah, your gunfire detection system shot spotter at around midnight on May 16th. You sort of gotta roll with me, brother, because I can't roll. I can't roll. An off-duty officer working security at the event said he left the venue after being warned of the sound of gunfire. He then observed Brown involved in a physical confrontation with another man. Witnesses in the parking lot told responding officers that Brown was the shooter. Although Brown had no weapon on his person when officials patted him down, investigators found 2 spent shell cases and an empty gun holster, which led them to believe maybe he ditched the gun. Brown was released later that night, taken to social media to say he had been jumped and had his jewelry stolen. According to the warrant, Miami-Dade police obtained video footage showcasing the moments of the altercation where Brown was allegedly seen on camera punching another man. The footage later shows Brown taking a security officer's firearm and running toward the man he had punched. 2 gunshots heard over cell phone video as Brown approached the victim, further corroborating the initial investigation. This marks the latest in a string of legal issues involving the ex-star, who has faced a series of domestic incidents in the past. He's expected to appear at Turner Guilford Correctional Center. So when was this? You know what this was?
When was it? When this happened? This was in June.
What's the date on this thing? Is this from June?
This is from June. This was the initial report. I just wanted because I
understand. June 13th.
June 13th.
Okay.
Yeah. So then he fled to Dubai.
Which is supposedly a really beautiful city. Extradited from this, and then today U.S. Marshals extradited him. Antonio Brown is extradited from Dubai. The former wide receiver was extradited to the United States to face attempted murder charges related to a shooting in May outside a celebrity boxing event in Miami. Brown was apprehended, which you would think they wouldn't have a detention center. A gun shooting detection. Miami's a crazy place.
Well, they took those shot spotters out of Chicago. Brandon Johnson said they were racist, and they took them out. And surprisingly, since they took them out at the beginning of the year, this year, the amount of reported gunshots they have in Chicago reduced dramatically. They don't have as many guns, so they could say that their shootings are down because they're not reported.
Of course, they'd rather be able to look good than actually do good. That's the left. Look good. It doesn't matter how much good you're doing. All that matters is how much you look good. That's everything. That's a summation of everything about the left. That's a summation of why there's free Palestine. That's a summation of why they worry about the trans. It doesn't matter whether you're actually doing good. All that matters is looking good. Brown, 37, was apprehended by U.S. Marshals and extradited from Dubai, though it was unclear when he would be handed over to authorities in Miami. Miami police confirmed that the U.S. Marshals have apprehended Antonio Brown. He's been extradited to the U.S., so he's here on American soil. Miami PD spokesperson Mike Vega told NBC News no date has been set for his transfer to Miami-Dade County. I do not expect them to give him bail. They're not going to give him bail now. I mean, the guy skipped town. He's got plenty of assets. Brown was taken into custody at Newark Airport and was booked into Essex County Jail in New Jersey on Thursday, NBC6 in Miami reported. It's such a tragic thing. Guy's 37 years old. He's got his whole life ahead of him. He had so many chances to just be like a rock star.
I'd like to know, is there more to the story? Like, did he really get robbed, or was that just a story he made up? I mean, why did the security guard not let him take his gun? You know what I mean? And why wasn't he charged with armed robbery on the security guard? Because once you take a gun that's armed robbery, once you take the gun.
Well, maybe the security guard doesn't want to testify against him that he took the gun.
Maybe.
So, up until Thursday, Brown was at large after a June warrant was issued for his arrest on attempted murder with firearm charge. Former football player was overseas when the warrant was issued. Brown's attorney was able to get a $10,000 bond, which is also included house arrest. That is very gentle, considering the guy. I guess he didn't skip off to Dubai. If he had skipped off to Dubai, that would be one thing. You see, there's the Cowboy player. See, go up a little bit, go back up, right there, Cowboy, right down, right there.
Oh, after police chase. This guy had a police chase.
Yeah, he had a police chase. And the cause of death is he put a gun in his mouth. It was the cause of death is what they call lead poisoning. So, yeah, which is just this is both when you're talking about Nealon or you're talking about Brown, it just goes to show we put America puts their celebrities on these pedestals and just assume that once someone reaches the pinnacle there, that these gentlemen are all standing on that massive podium of superstars, that life must be really grand. And so many of them, far too many of them, just burn out completely. And look, maybe it's likely, in part, that they grow into something that it's a reflection of their upbringing. As far as what ends up becoming of these people, that maybe when they get money, the access to the money sort of enables them to manifest whatever negative traits they have. I wonder what you guys can weigh in on this. What do you guys think? Why is it that it seems to happen more and more? And I think the more and more is in part due to the wealth that sports superstars have today compared to what they had 30 years ago, where across the board in every sport, instead of being back 30 years ago, only a handful of them made $1 million a year, and now $1 million, it seems like it's the league minimum in all these leagues. So he remained overseas and not returned to South Florida despite the arraignment, though Brown continued to be active on social media and had even posted on his Instagram story shortly after news broke he was captured by authorities promoting a sports betting brand. The alleged incident occurred in May outside a celebrity boxing match in Miami, with Brown claiming at the time that he'd been jumped in an attempted robbery. Police detained Brown following the incident, and he was eventually released. Online video of the chaos showed Brown appeared to engage in a scrap with several men, and another clip showed the moments when gunfire could be heard. Bystanders in the parking lot told authorities Brown was a shooter, and I think we got all this, right?
Yeah. I'm just wondering, though, like, what was the? I'm not trying to defend him. I'm just saying that maybe he was getting robbed. Maybe they did steal his jewelry. I don't know.
Well, Nantambu stated Mr. Brown proceeded to shoot at him, possibly grazing him in the neck, placing him in fear for his life, the arrest warrant stated. So that's an important little nugget. That's how you get to attempted murder.
Mm-hmm.
The two have known each other since 2022. Nantambu told police and indicated that he and Brown had words before things turned physical. Is there more on Nantambu, or is that it?
No, that's it.
All right.
That's it. There's a.
All right. Ex-NFL star Antonio Brown.
We have ESPN has a thing here if you want to see what ESPN has or TMZ.
I don't like TMZ. They're scuzzy. I want to shun TMZ ever since Charlie Kirk. I just want to shun them. They should be shunned. Those of you who might not recall or may have been unaware, when the Charlie Kirk news broke, there was a guy on TMZ who was on TV when it broke that he was shot, and you heard that he had died. When the announcement came out that he died, you hear in the background of the TMZ reporters cheering. So I'm like, no, TMZ can they can kick up daisies for all I care.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Do you want to go into the next story, or do you want to? What do you want to do?
Yeah, we can move on to the next story. But T-Rex says, I don't know if any of the chatters or Mr. Logic remember Michael Malloy, the YouTube streamer, but unfortunately we've learned that he passed away at the ripe age of 72. R.I.P. Playboy Malloy. I'm not familiar with him.
I'm not familiar with them either.
But the name sort of rings a bell, but I don't know if I've ever seen the guy. I definitely never met him. But the name sort of rings a bell. Rest in peace, Michael Malloy.
All right. We have this story.
Who's that? Okay, this is one. I basically was ranking to him the significance of these stories.
I put them in the order that you ranked them. So.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
So you're bringing out the hardcore juice early.
Yeah, well.
All right.
I mean, don't want to wait and then have a story we don't get to that was really good and be like, oh, we didn't get to that.
I never worry about that. I'm like, if I have to, I'll cram it at the end. That's what she said. Comey's daughter, Maureen, offered to free Jeffrey Epstein if he implicated Trump in his crimes, according to his cellmates. This is being reported by Gateway Pundit.
This is Gateway, but it's everywhere, actually. I got three different sources for this.
Three different sources that his cellmate said that go ahead and that he said he would be free. The Jeffrey Epstein trafficking ring keeps bringing revelations to the public, both in the U.S. and in the U.K. Now it arises that Epstein once claimed federal prosecutors offered him to walk free if only he agreed to implicate President Donald J. Trump in his crimes. That's how desperate these sickos were. We don't care how many girls you terrorized. If you can give us Trump on something, we just need to get Trump. These such sick monsters. I mean, think of it, that everything disgusting about the deal, everything revolting about the ham-handed politics that goes into what purports to be justice. That's real justice, right? That's real justice. Imagine for a second that he was willing to flip and say, hey, I think I can dig up something on Trump. And now they're actually going to let this guy who they know abused hundreds of girls and just let him walk because they're that sick and disturbed that like maybe we'll be able to get a conviction of Trump. Like for like something that they're so twisted. Everything about them is disgusting. These are evil. This is the face of evil. It's the face of evil, and I'm going to tell you why it's the face of evil. Okay.
People are saying this is old news, but this was on like ground news front page, with all these different sources. So I don't know how it's old news.
I'll tell you this much. I had heard a couple months ago that they had asked about Trump. That is very different from a claim that they offered to drop all charges against him.
Yeah.
It's one thing to say that the guy said, they said they were asking about Trump, not a claim that that Epstein said they would let him walk. And that's what makes this story that much more heinous. That's what makes it so much more evil. Because when I was seeing this, I was like, I heard about this somebody. He mentioned to me the story. I didn't have a chance to look at the story. Like I told you how my evening went and how he dropped this on me. And then I had to start frantically trying to set up a show for you guys. So I didn't go through what the source was. But I agree that it is new. And I had heard about the cellmate in the past saying how they asked Epstein about Trump, but the notion that what makes it so evil is exactly this particular nugget that they were willing to let him walk. Because the ultimate point to a healthy society is a society that punishes those who are truly wicked. And it's a perversion of that. It's a corruption of that. It's a perversion of God's word and world. When the people who are supposed to be protecting justice and implementing justice decide to focus on their personal agenda as to who it is that they want to see in handcuffs, rather than actually calling out to get retribution for those who were afflicted by evil. So when you take a Jeffrey Epstein and you say to him, we're going to wash away your hundreds of victims, you are basically dismissing their pain. You are saying that they are evil. In many ways, you're actually worse than Jeffrey Epstein. You're worse than Jeffrey Epstein because the expectations of you, what's called upon you, you're the last line of defense for these girls. They get victimized by Jeffrey Epstein, and now you, who are supposed to be their defender, supposed to be the one calling out for their blood. To get biblical on you for a moment, the very first murder ever, Cain killing Abel, God says how Abel's blood is calling out from the ground. It's calling out for justice. And the cries of the people who are afflicted by wicked people. It's incumbent upon us, a healthy society. If you're going to have a happy society, a productive society, society has to punish those people who visit evil upon others. So when you have people who are put in charge of that very heady task, that significant and important task, and they say, instead of that, we're going to give you a complete and entire pass, just give us this other person who we particularly want to get. And that we want that person to be punished. They are twisting and perverting and taking that precious treasure of justice for their own personal needs. And they are taking all those victims and they are spitting on them. They are kicking them, saying, we don't care how much this guy made you suffer. He's not going to pay for it. Instead, we have a chance that we're going to basically punish this one guy for one thing that we think we might be able to convict him of. That's what they were hoping to do. And it shows you just how sick in the head and twisted and evil the Comeys are. That Maureen Comey is every bit as sick and evil and disgusting as her father, Jim.
I mean, do you think maybe they killed Comey because they killed Epstein because he said no?
I don't know whether his saying no is what was a motivation. Who knows? It's almost like, if the old show Dallas, you're old enough to remember, when it's like, who shot JR? That's like, who killed Epstein? It's just like everyone's got a motive.
Well, if it turns out like Dallas, that we're just going to wake up and never happened.
Who shot Montgomery Burns? Now it arises that Epstein once claimed federal prosecutors offered him to walk free if only he agreed to implicate President Donald J. Trump in his crimes, according to the late pedo's ex-cellmates. The New York Post reported. After his arrest on child trafficking charges in July 2019, Epstein was transferred to the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan, where he shared his cell with ex-cop Nicholas Tartaglione, who was awaiting trial before being convicted on a quadruple murder charge. Tartaglione, 57, now claims that Epstein, who died a month after being arrested, told him prosecutors had offered to cut a deal if he'd snitch on President Trump, who was then in his first term. Jeffrey Epstein's ex-cellmate, Nicholas Tartaglione, claims New York prosecutor Maureen Comey told Epstein he could walk free if he implicated President Trump, saying no proof was needed as long as Trump's people couldn't disprove it. Sick woman. Seriously, she's every bit as vile as Epstein, and in many ways worse. Prosecutors told Epstein that if he said President Trump was involved with the Epstein crimes, he could walk free in a petition to be pardoned. Tartaglione claims in a pardon application filed in July and obtained by the Post. Epstein told me that lead prosecutor Maureen Comey said that he didn't have to prove anything as long as President Trump's people could not disprove it. According to Maureen Comey, the FBI were her people, not his. President Trump, the filing states.
I thought this was the guy that tried to kill him. Epstein. This was the guy, remember, the big muscular dude?
No, that's Tartaglione, yeah. The judicial findings don't specify what Epstein crimes Trump was to be implicated in. Quote, Comey, who acted as lead prosecutor in Tartaglione's case, was fired by the Justice Department in July. Attempts to reach her for comment were unsuccessful, while the DOJ did not respond to a request for comment. In his petition, Tartaglione states that Epstein told him that Trump was not involved in Epstein's crimes.
That's it.
That's it. That's it.
I mean, we have the New York Post, too, like their original, but I don't know, it's probably the same stuff.
And this is also today, right?
That's all today. There's a date today. Look, well, November 5th at 1:56 p.m.
This is yesterday. Jeffrey Epstein claimed New York federal prosecutors told him he could walk free. And Tartaglione, 57, now claims that Epstein, who died a month after being arrested, told prosecutors to cut a deal if he'd snitch on President Trump, who was then in his first term.
What's this, Joe? You're missing the big thing legally?
Epstein told me that lead prosecutor Maureen Comey said he didn't have to prove anything as long as President Trump's people could not disprove it. According to Maureen Comey, the FBI were her people, not his president, not his, Trump's, the filing states. What do you think about this? What do you think about this, Jim?
I was hoping there was more to the story. I was hoping they actually had some kind of documentation that they found at FBI records of it, like somewhere someone wrote down that they offered him this. That to me would be like
evidence.
Proof. Like evidence, yeah, not just this guy saying it. You know, because he could just be making this all up just because he's trying to get, pardoned or something taken care of. Maybe he thinks he could get some kind of credit or something.
Yeah. Now, we should put, I do think that she's correct, that we should pull up a little bit about Tartaglione's history.
Okay.
If you can sort of do a
quick. I'll do it real quick.
Yeah. But Comey, who acted as lead prosecutor, Tartaglione is a former cop who, he's got his own issues. He has his own issues there. So it's not like, and you also have to realize he has motivation too, right? And so when we're delivering stories, you sort of need to give the full fleshed out thing. Julio Scissors, God bless you for pushing us towards our goal. Try and make me work on Saturday nights. That's basically what it is. Class of 21 says, Joe, you're missing the big thing legally, and that is the Supreme Court meeting behind closed doors about overturning Obergefell. I don't think they can because of Article 4, Section 1 of the Constitution. They're not overturning Obergefell. I don't know where. I never heard anything about them overturning Obergefell.
No, it's just that's like the woman that the clerk from Kentucky who got fired or something happened. I don't know if she got fired or arrested because she refused. Something happened. She refused to issue. Marriage licenses back, years ago. Several years ago.
Right.
Well, her case is finally matriculated up to the Supreme Court.
Matriculating.
Yeah. And so, and basically, I don't even know if they've actually decided if they're going to take the case or not. Because it's a case about whether or not she has the religious, she can claim her freedom, but she doesn't want her name on these things because of her religion. That's her argument.
Yeah. Here's the thing. So, despite my personal beliefs based on religion about this topic, in case you're unfamiliar, Obergefell is a case, the Supreme Court decision from the 1990s, I think 1990.
No, I thought Obergefell is the one that said gay marriage.
I'm sorry, Obergefell, I'm asleep. 2015 is when Obergefell came out. Obergefell versus, it is gay marriage, you're right. It's 2015. I sort of, my brain farted there. It was 2015 that the Supreme Court said you cannot ban same-sex marriages, and thus became the law in the land. So, was that this case over here?
Which one?
That was in Hawaii, Obergefell.
No. This was a case later after Obergefell, when they said that you had to issue the stuff, and she was a clerk, a county clerk or whatever, clerk of the courts or something, and so her name had to go on all marriage certificates. And she's like, I'm not putting my name on these.
Yeah, here's the thing. So the point I was going to get at was this. Sometimes the person, we all have different types of jobs and take different roles in those jobs. Some jobs, when I talk about people who are hostile or potentially toxic individuals, and the idea of canceling these toxic individuals, the point that I make is it makes sense to cancel someone who is a toxic individual when the nature of their service is dependent on their uniqueness. Their uniqueness is what brings something to their role. So when you're talking about someone who is someone who's a leader, someone who's a teacher, someone who is even many forms of being a police officer, let's say, right? Your uniqueness is kind of gonna maybe police officers a little bit less so, but teacher, right? A teacher is going to have to use their brain to convey what is the most effective way to convey information to my students, and do it in something that's a form of art that works, that goes into the performance of their job. When there's a form of art to the nature of how you do your job, a doctor or a lawyer, certainly. In that case, when you have someone who's toxic, or that person, and they express toxic views. I'm not saying that they're openly toxic to the customers all the time. That's whatever. They can't do the job. But if someone is a toxic influence, in that case, I say, okay, that person, you need to cancel them from that role, because their toxicity is a danger to the performance, to the product that they're going to be producing. When someone is a clerk and all you need is their signature on something, I would say they should not be canceled, because you just need to, you're a little different from a machine that's just stamping out, cartoons. You got your rubber stamp and you're stamping your name on things. Like we need someone in the role, and you happen to be that person. So in that sense, it's not an expression of her religious freedom. Like, it's like, move over, Sally, and let someone else get the stamp. It's like now they can't get married because you have a religious thing and it has to be your signature on it. You're not adding anything to this role. Anyone else who is in that role, in this particular function, they would be doing the exact. They're all performing the same function. So this is not an expression of her religion. This is different from like the cake makers, right? Because in the cake stylist, there your expression becomes part of the product. So now you can see how it's more of an invasion of my expression if I'm making particularly unique cakes. Different from when you have someone who's got a mass assembly of the same cake over and over again working in Entenmann's. That's very different from someone who's handcrafting cakes, because this is now your product. You're infusing yourself into this thing. The point that I'm getting at is I don't think that Kentucky woman has much of a case, because no one needs it to be her. They just need a name, and she happens to have this role. So if you want, find something there which enables someone else to stamp it. But you're going to say that the someone else. So once you come to a determination that this is a violation of civil rights of Messrs. Jones and Smith, that they have a right to get married. Once the Supreme Court reaches that determination, which you can ask questions about that as well, but once you reach that determination to say that, and now what has the court found? The court has found that's a violation of their civil rights. Well, the same way it's a violation of their civil rights not to be able to get married, that's no different than a violation of your civil rights where the government's slapping something a tape across your mouth and silencing you. So we shouldn't be able to stand for that. So now are we going to allow this? We're going to let this woman, because she says she's the one who has to sign it? That sounds ridiculous. There's no logic to that. So I don't think that she's going to win here based on it's a violation.
There's a possibility that the votes are there to overturn it, though.
You think so?
Possible. I mean, you got Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and ACB were not on the bench. Roberts voted against Obergefell. So did Alito and Thomas. There's 3 votes that were against already there.
That's first and foremost. Roberts did that 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying Roberts was against it 10 years ago.
He was against it 10 years ago, but that's also different from once Obergefell is the law, saying now unless they're really going to just undo Obergefell.
Do you want to read about it
altogether? All right, you got me enough. You got me enough vested here, but maybe we should get to it. Let's get to Taglione. I want to get
here we go. Here's the Taglione.
Epstein was held at MCC, a high national security federal detection facility. Yeah, they did a whiz-bang job making sure in that whiz-bang job right there. Ex-cop and former prison cellmate of Jeffrey Epstein sentenced to life in prison for murder of 4 men. Yeah, former New York police officer and former cellmate of disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein sentenced to life in prison for murdering 4 men. Nicholas Tartaglione was sentenced Monday to 4 consecutive life sentences for the 2016 kidnappings and killings of Martin Luna, Miguel Luna, Urbano Santiago, and Hector Gutierrez. U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Damian Williams, said in a news release Tartaglione, who was described by Williams as a former police officer turned drug dealer, was convicted in April 2023 of 11 counts of murder, 4 counts of kidnapping resulting in death, 1 count of kidnapping conspiracy, and 1 count of narcotics conspiracy. Unfortunately, the life sentences were mandatory given the convictions at trial, Inga Parsons, lead attorney for Tartaglione, said in a statement to CNN. We're appealing and will continue to fight to show Nick's innocence. Tartaglione shared a prison cell with Epstein at the Federal Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City and had been moved before Epstein's suicide in August 2019. Former officer was one of the first people FBI agents sought to interview after Epstein was found dead in the SHU of the facility. So yeah, he's a real peach. According to prosecutors, Tartaglione's suspect Martin Luna had stolen money from him and planned to confront him during an in-person meeting to which Martin Luna brought along his nephews Miguel and Santiago and his family friend Gutierrez. So basically, during the meeting, which turned out to be a deadly trap, Tartaglione tortured Martin Luna and then forced one of his nephews to watch as he strangled him to death with a zip tie.
See, I have a question. How would they know all this if he killed all the people? There was no witnesses. Like, how did they know they made the nephews watch? I mean, how did they know any of this?
Maybe there was maybe there's a rat who ratted on him. one of his associates.
Maybe. Oh, maybe he told somebody, and they okay, yeah.
According to a statement from Williams following the conviction, not that he told someone, that there was a witness, I'm saying, who saw it.
Yeah.
Tartaglione and two of his associates then brought Miguel Luna, Santiago, and Gutierrez to a remote wooded location, forced them to kneel, and fatally shot them in the back of the head before burying their bodies in a mass grave.
Oh, there you go. They're right there. The two of his associates. So there was two other people there. So some of them must have rolled.
Yeah. Nicholas Tartaglione brutally and senselessly murdered Martin Luna over money and then ruthlessly executed Santiago Luna and Hector Gutierrez simply because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah, he sounds like someone whose society's probably better off with him behind bars. Just saying. Yeah, and also it's not you need to know where there's a mass grave, right? How would he know where it is if he wasn't involved in those previous deaths as well? So, yeah. But wrapping up on Obergefell, because these two stories are very interrelated with each other. Sometimes someone will throw a super chat like Class did here, and we just whoop. I'm gonna blend two of these things right on in here. So it's not hurtful. I appreciate it.
If you want to learn about the clerk herself, or you want to learn about the court case, because I got this. Just tell me which one you want to go. We can go to Wikipedia. We go to Courthouse News.
Courthouse News sounds like a more reliable source.
All right.
I will say that Hands One Pack says the gay marriage case, if taken to its extremes, would mean concealed carry licenses in one state must be observed in all 50 states. Extended to law licenses and medical licenses. It sounds. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me at all. All right. So what do you got for me here? Kentucky clerk who refused to issue same-sex marriage licenses sees opening to overturn Obergefell. This is a hope. This is a hope.
There's another one. This one says
a county clerk with religious objections to same-sex marriage viewed the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade as a precursor to Obergefell versus Hodges' downfall.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a story saying there's a 4-alarm fire.
Okay, look. I'm gonna make clear my position about same-sex marriage. Okay, I want to make my position clear about this. My position is that the state should not be in the marriage business at all. And I'm not just talking about homosexual marriage. I'm saying heterosexual marriage. There should be no such thing as a state-recognized marriage. There should be no such thing as a license to get married by the states. I don't need that any more than I need a license to pray. Mm-hmm. You don't need a license to get marriage has always been a religious institution. It is, you're getting married before your community and before the eyes of God. It's a commitment you're making to your loved one before God. Now, the state at a certain point in time decided we really need to intercede here because then we're going to...
Because, you know why? Because they wanted money.
Yeah.
Because they charge a fee for the marriage license.
Yeah, and we're going to incentivize you to get married by giving you tax breaks if you get married. But that's gone because you could be life partners now and still get the same tax breaks, as I understand it.
You know, and then they got all the other bonuses with the whole thing with them getting involved. Then they're involved in divorces and all the money that comes from divorces and the fees and the court cases and
all of this, you know, and all of this is because the state wants to stick its big fat stinking nose into your private life. So yeah, I think the state would have been far better if they said, you know what, we don't have state marriages. You just get married if that's your thing. If that's what you want to do, get married. Find your local church, your local synagogue or temple or whatever it is that you feel is right for you. You get your priest, you get your rabbi, you get your mullah, you get Captain Crunch, whoever it is that you want. Go do what works for you. It's not our business. It's really that simple.
Didn't you used to be able to get married by like a captain on a boat, like a boat captain, a ship captain could marry somebody?
I think you still can. I think
like you didn't need a license, your captain could just marry her or something. I don't know.
So they shouldn't be in this business. So now
Now what ends up happening is once they stick their big fat stinking noses into this, so now you end up having this situation where it's like, oh, now the state is recognizing what is considered a valid marriage, as if this is an important thing that the state has to recognize what a valid marriage is. And all of a sudden now you have all these culturally sensitive issues that the state has to be making official proclamations on. And this whole thing is such a stupid mess that would be the simplest thing in the world. Is, you know what? We're done with the states being involved in marriage licenses, but this is really a state by state thing. I mean, let's face it, this is not a federal thing, obviously. There's no reason it should be federal. Thank God it's not federal. But all 50 states just jumped on board and we're like, no, we're issuing marriage licenses. And apparently it becomes a thing of, when people need to get divorced. But there should just be something that, hey, look, to me, the significant thing in my marriage to Lady Logic was not the state's marriage license. It was a religious instrument based under Jewish law as taught to us by Moses from on high. And that is part of the actual ceremony, that I'm marrying you in accordance with the laws that were given to us by Moses. Right there under the chuppah, we're standing under that big canopy thing. Yeah, that's where that's part of the expression that a man says to a woman when he takes her as his wife. So that's all that mattered to us. I ended up marrying her legally well after I was married to her. It was shortly after I married Lady Logic. She became pregnant with my eldest. And I remember that when we informed it was a running joke how we weren't married, which, like, Ortho Jews, we don't do the whole living together thing. That's not a thing. So, but, my in-laws, they didn't care about the legal marriage at all. But I had a running joke going about how, like, once she got engaged, I was like, don't worry, Ma, I'm going to make an honest woman of her. I'm going to do right by your daughter. I was like joking around that I'm going to marry her, even though we were already really married under Jewish law before my daughter was conceived. So anyhow, bottom line is we shouldn't be in this business.
Right. Just for shits and giggles, I looked up when the first time the government got involved in marriages.
Senator Moses. That's funny. Just for giggles, you looked up what?
When I said, when did the government insert itself into marriage? It said,
more formalized in the United States by the 17th century. When property rights and recognition of marriage is a civil right. Yeah.
So Massachusetts was the first state or first colonial thing to fuck around with marriage.
I didn't realize it's been here that long.
Neither did I. I thought it was like a newer thing.
I thought this was like a late 19th century thing.
Think about it. If you're out in the prairie or something, or how are you gonna get a marriage? What are you gonna do?
What if there's no state there?
Yeah. What if you're in a territory? I mean, how's it?
Yeah. Well, you're not really married then. It's the dumbest thing in the world. What's the point? I mean, I don't know. All right, we're moving on from Maureen Comey to the next related topic, which is also Epstein related, and that is that the House Oversight Committee summons a former Prince Andrew to appear before Congress over abuse claims against him.
Why would he bother coming? They can't force him. He's not a U.S. citizen. They have no authority over a foreign national.
This is true. What you're saying is an insightful comment there, Jim. You are correct.
Unless they waited until they're supposedly stripped him of all his royal whatever protections.
I think he's been stripped. But that doesn't mean that he's an American citizen. If the country of Botswana decided that they wanted to summon you before their Congress, you have to go.
I think it's up to It'll be up to the British government to decide if they don't want to, or you know what I mean. They can say like, no, he's not coming.
It's not like we're issuing a subpoena. I don't think it's. I mean, it's. I think it's an invitation. They say, right? Because you don't want to start an international incident that you're demanding that a member of the royal family come in. So, I don't think they're issuing a subpoena. I don't know if I don't see the authority that Congress would have to issue a subpoena against an international dignitary. I mean, think about how careful we are with diplomatic immunity to every knucklehead who gets assigned the title of ambassador. No matter how
by
stupid they
definition,
are.
a member of the royal family would have diplomatic immunity.
Well, everything about this just smells like something that they know that they're venturing into terrain that they have no authority. I don't think Congress is going to try and express a claim you have to come here. And even if he's in the country. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if he's visiting and he's here in the United States, I don't think that they're going to, send U.S. Marshals after him. They're not going to start an international incident. So what we're looking at here ultimately is an invitation, which, assuming he rejects it, which he likely, I would think, would, that it's a matter of embarrassing him. That's really what this is. And Andrew, and frankly, Prince Andrew is someone who deserves to be embarrassed. So I'm kind of okay with that. The Jeffrey Epstein, because you're basically saying, well, why aren't you coming in? Why aren't you coming in here? That's what the world's going to say. They asked you to come in, and you're saying no. Wait, what do you got to hide? The Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking ring continues to generate almost daily developments among many other avenues of investigation. We have been reporting here on the Gateway Pundit about how the U.S. House Oversight Committee has been enacting a review on the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell investigations and prosecutions. Today, it arises that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the disgraced former British prince, has been summoned to appear before Congress, which is investigating abuse claims against him. Quote, in a letter sent to the former Duke of York on Thursday, Democratic members of the House Oversight Committee say they believe he may have crucial information about co-conspirators and enablers of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. There's an important word there in that paragraph there.
Co-conspirators?
Democratic members.
Oh, Democratic members.
Democratic members of the House Oversight Committee say they believe he may have crucial information about co-conspirators and enablers of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
But here, I'm confused because when the Democrats were in charge of the Oversight Committee, they didn't let the Republicans call people in.
That's why that's another reason it might not be an official thing, right?
Yeah.
The Oversight Committee will investigate allegations of abuse by Mountbatten Windsor and will seek information on Epstein's operations, network, and associates based on the men's long-standing and well-documented friendship, they say.
Okay,
so
thought
they're hoping he says yes and that he basically says the name Donald Trump.
But I thought it was illegal for Congress to investigate allegations against a person. Isn't there some... what is it called? There's a whole thing about it, about Congress is not supposed to be investigating like people for crimes. There's a word.
It's like separation of powers.
Yeah, some kind of
they're the legislative branch.
There's a specific word, and I'm losing and I can't remember what it is. Not a mark. What is it? Damn it! But they're you can't.
We're not going anywhere until you remember the word.
Oh, this is bad. There's a specific term for like what Congress can't do. They call it. Like what they said, like Trump accused him of trying to do that to him. They said you can't do this when they were on it. It's like a. It's like a writ of something, like a writ of bill of attainder, like a bill of attainder. Bill of Attainder.
I'm such a joke sometimes. That was so mean of me. It's like basically basically let you, I was just gonna let you twist and twist. At a certain point I think I probably would have let you go. Yes. Yeah, Bill of Attainder is not really, it's not really the what I don't think it's Bill of Attainder though. Go ask Grok what a Bill of Attainder is.
Okay.
When I was a kid, whenever I would want something, like I'd ask my dad a question, especially my dad. You all look at him as this kindly, grandfatherly teddy bear type of thing. When I was a kid, he was not that man. Okay, not that God forbid he did anything wrong to me. Well, unless you consider the fact that if I asked him a question, he'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's a really good question. Why don't you look it up?" And I'd be like, "But you know the answer." He's like, "Well," he's like, "Right, but why don't you go look it up?" That's the type of abuse my dad used to drop on me regularly. Just go look it up.
There.
Just go look it up.
All right, I pulled it up.
Back then, we didn't have the interwebs to sort of search around and just basically in 12 seconds. You had to actually go to a book and start looking and figure out which book to use. Here, all of a sudden, you can just, bam, right there. Bill of Attainder is a legislative act that declares a specific person or group of people guilty of a crime and imposes punishment without the benefit of judicial trial or due process. See, is that what you're describing?
Yes,
You
because they're
said
calling him. They're
investigation.
investigating him for his possible crimes. That's what they
They're
said.
investigating him. Go back up, though. This is declares someone guilty. That's different from an investigation. They cannot say he's guilty of a crime, and therefore we're going to impose some law, some punishment. That's what a Bill of Attainder is. Bill of Attainder is a punishment against an individual. It's not an investigation. So, yeah, I can't tell you how many times I had to go to the encyclopedias, and for one reason or another, it's like we had the Encyclopedia Britannica, which is written in French, and I'm sitting there, I was like, déjeuner on the... I don't speak French. My dad does, but I don't speak French.
Let's see. It says that bills of attainder are seen as unconstitutional because they violate the separation of powers by allowing the legislature to perform judicial tasks. My point is that in this story here, where we were reading about what they said that they're in,
it's an investigation. Now, when they do an investigation, the way Congress always dresses up their investigations, so they don't have a problem of separation of powers, is that they will claim that they're doing it for the purposes of writing future laws. So we need to learn more about this topic. And if we learn more about this topic, we'll be able to write more effective laws. So that's how they always dress up their investigations when they're making a dog and pony show.
Well, it still just says he's been summoned to appear before Congress, which is investigating abuse claims against him. That would be a violation. It's not Congress's job to investigate abuse claims against anyone.
Not for the purposes of punishing him, but to figure out how do we write better laws to stop the abuse. That's how they would explain it. I know I've seen the song and dance. I agree with you. It's stupid. It's basically, it's the same thing. All it's doing is it's stopping them from passing a punishment, imposing punishment on him. And that, you know, as far as there's just as a matter of fact, it's the same thing. But it's the way how you satisfy the issue of the law. The request was sent one day after Mountbatten Windsor had lost title of Prince and designation His Royal Highness. So he's lost his title to His Royal Highness. Did you know that?
Yes.
He has been under renewed scrutiny after the publication of Virginia Giuffre's posthumous memoir detailed her 3 encounters with him. Andrew has denied all wrongdoing, as previously said his relationship with Epstein, quote, was not something that was becoming of a member of the royal family. Oh. All right, so you want to make that big in it? You want to big in it?
It's as big as I think I can get it.
It's not that way. That's not going to work. That's not going to work.
That's as big as I can get it.
All right. Let me see if I can find something that'll make it a little bigger. There you go. You're going to have to be on top of it, though, okay?
All right.
How many pages? It's just a page?
I don't know. Let's see.
Doesn't look like it's long.
2 pages,
Yeah.
3 pages, 3 pages.
Yeah. All right. We'll see. Maybe it's funny. Hopefully it's funny.
We'll
Dear Mountbatten Windsor, we would like to seek your cooperation. The Committee on Oversight of Government Reform's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking operations. The committee is seeking to uncover the identities of Mr. Epstein's co-conspirators. This is their way of saying, don't worry, we're not going to ask about you. We just want you to come in and say the name Donald Trump over and over again so we can clip it. And enablers, and to understand the full extent of his criminal operations. Well-documented allegations against you, along with your long-standing friendship with Mr. Epstein, indicate that you may possess knowledge of his activities relevant to our investigation. In the interest of justice for the victims, of course, it's all about the victims. Sure, Maureen Comey was going to let Epstein go, but it's all about the victims. It's all about them standing on these victims' faces. So in order to victims of Jeffrey Epstein, request that you cooperate with the committee's investigation by sitting for the transcribed interview with the committee. Oh, they don't want to have a dog and pony show. They want to be able to claim that he said stuff about Trump. It has been publicly reported that your friendship with Mr. Epstein began in 1999 and that you remain close through and after his 2008 conviction for procuring minors for prostitution. We know that you're a sicko. We all know you're a sick, twisted, disgusting freak. It has also been reported that you traveled with Mr. Epstein to his New York residence, the Queens residence of Balmoral, and to Epstein's private islands in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where you've been accused of abusing minors. This close relationship with Mr. Epstein, coupled with the recently revealed 2011 email exchange in which you wrote to him, quote, "We are in this together," further confirms our suspicion that you may have valuable information about the crimes committed by Mr. Epstein and his co-conspirators. And that's what we care about, the co-conspirators. As you're well aware, Virginia Roberts Giuffre made several allegations that you abused her when she was just 17 years old. In a 2011, go back.
Oh, wait, I thought you had it. Sorry.
In a 2021 lawsuit, Miss Giuffre alleged that she was forcibly lent out to you for sexual purposes on 3 separate occasions. In addition to these allegations, flight logs document several instances in which you were a passenger on Mr. Epstein's plane between 1999 and 2006 while his criminal activities were ongoing. In response to a subpoena issued to Epstein's estate, the committee has identified financial records containing notations such as massage for Andrew that raise serious questions regarding the nature of your relationship with Mr. Epstein and related financial transactions.
Didn't Bill Clinton get multiple massages from
why don't you
people?
bring him on in here? Why don't you bring him on in? Bring him on in. Yeah, let him tell us all about Trump. In her posthumous memoir, Ms. Giuffre expressed a fear of retaliation if she made allegations against you and writes that the settlement agreement you executed with her restricted her to a 1-year gag order designed to protect the Crown's reputation. Recent reporting confirms those fears as law enforcement authorities in the UK have launched an investigation into allegations you asked your personal protection officer to dig up dirt for a smear campaign against Ms. Giuffre in 2011. This fear of retaliation has been a persistent obstacle to many of those who are victimized in their fight for justice. In addition to Mr. Epstein's crimes, we are investigating any such efforts to silence, intimidate, or threaten victims and are interested in any avenues that may further shed light on these activities. So we want to claim that Trump silenced her. So we want you to come in here and just say the name Trump. Just say it. We'll have millions of people blessing you. Just say Trump's name. That's all they want. Say his name so millions of people will love you. You're all hated. Everyone hates you. But just throw Trump's name out there like chum on the water for the school of retardo sharks to just snap at and say, "You see? He's a better." That's what they want. Given these recent events and the appalling allegations that come to light from Ms. Giuffre's memoir and other reliable sources. Okay, stop. Whoa. Hold right there.
Who are the other reliable sources?
No, how is she a reliable source?
She's dead.
In what way is she
writing a book, presumably for money, who we know has retracted claims that she made against Dershowitz and said those were bunk. In what capacity? Who we know her brain was, unfortunately, I'm not saying this as like anything like ha ha on her, but the reality is that perhaps as a part of the countless drugs she took, almost certainly as part of the countless drugs, as well as almost undoubtedly the heaps of abuse that no human should ever endure, that there's all sorts of reasons to question the reliability of her memory. Meaning, my point is this. If a monster comes along and clubs someone upside the head and abuses the body and clubs the head some more and clubs the head some more, and they go into a coma and they're all cloudy and they're trying to remember what happened, and they can barely identify the monster, this does not mean the monster wasn't particularly monstrous. But as far as saying that this person is a reliable source of information, that's kind of ridiculous, because the next thing you know, they're very clouded. As part of the victimhood is that they don't have much memory. So unfortunately, it doesn't mean that they weren't abused by the monster, but that doesn't mean that they're a source that's reliable. So there's a lot of things you could say about Virginia Giuffre. And her life is a tragic tale, and I certainly pray for. I'll pray for her soul. But to tell me that she's a reliable source, I mean, come on. But other reliable sources, the committee requests that you make yourself available for a transcribed interview with the committee and provide insight into the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators. See, that's all they care about. Tell us about Jeffrey Epstein's. They don't care about the nature of how he did it. Just tell us his co-conspirators. They're so transparent. Due to the urgency and gravity of this matter, what makes it urgent now? Why is it urgent? What makes it so urgent? We ask you to provide a response to committee's interest by November 20th, 2025. Can you tell me? Let's just like brainstorm. Why would it be urgent right now? Like why if this
they got elections coming up soon, next year, and I want to get that.
I have no idea what part about this would be urgent. Why is it urgent? The Committee on Oversight and Government Reform is the principal oversight committee of the House of Representatives and has broad authority to investigate any matter at any time under House Rule 10. If you have any questions about this request, please contact committee Democratic staff at 202-225-5051. Thank you for your prompt attention to this request. I hope that when they publish this letter out, they got spam called by countless people who were basically pretending to be Prince Andrew and basically laughing at them. That's what I hope happened. Not that I'm encouraging any of you at home to do that, but I do hope that happened to them. Jerks. Signed, Robert Garcia, Eleanor Helms Norton, Sunas Subramaniam, Stephen Lynch Rokana, Summer Lee, Raja Krishnamurthy, Maxwell Alejandro Frost, Greg Kazar, Latifa Simon, Emily Randall, Yasmana Ansari. There you go.
There you go.
Yasemin Ansari. All right, whole bunch of losers.
I did put a link in the private chat for you, Joe. It's because we started talking about Cain and Abel and all that stuff, and it was this video I saw about the mark of Cain, which you might want to watch at some time. It's like 10 minutes long. It's not tonight, probably.
It's 4.5 minutes long.
Okay, it's very short, but it's a very interesting video. I was very shocked by it.
About the mark of Cain.
The mark of Cain.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm giving it a quick look-see over here. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Maybe. Yeah, it could be interesting.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be something to do sometime.
Not tonight.
Yeah. I would like your thoughts on this. Lefties love free stuff. What if Trump announced a plan to fund the universal free health care for all citizens funded by tariffs? Could bump up support. No, I don't like this plan. I do not like this plan. The left screaming about universal health care need only look to the Veterans Association for how crappy and how much reform is needed there. Now, the veterans comprise, like, what percentage of all Americans? Are they 2% of all Americans? Are they that much? Certainly not 5%.
if the government struggles with handling less than 5% of the American population and giving them health care, and this is a whole friggin' mess, why would anyone think that there would not be utter chaos and disaster if we bump that up to 10%, 20%, 50%, 70%? This entire system would be utter chaos and disaster. All the more so 100%. And now you have no alternative but to use that system. That's it. You're stuck. Now, anywhere else in the world, when they have a crappy medical care system, at least if someone had money, you know what they could do? They can come to the United States and come to some of the best hospitals in the world. Newsweek ranked us a week or two ago as being the number one source for hospitals on the planet, with 4 of the top 10 hospitals in the world being located here. They ranked 250 hospitals, of which nearly a quarter of them are here in the United States. Doesn't matter what you count, all your third world countries, all your first world countries, all these great medical places that they have under the universal care, and these places where everyone lives so long. Oh, it's so wonderful there. And yet the best hospital care in the world, hands down, is right here. Now, it turns into universal health care. We don't have that any longer. So, yeah, frankly, I would not sell my soul and the health of my own health or yours, certainly not that of my offspring, for tariffs. So I would not be interested in that. I would not be interested in that at all. I don't want universal health care.
And not universal anything.
Yeah. We super duper promise that we won't be arrested outside of this. He's not going to be arrested. He wouldn't be arrested, Heisenberg. They're not, because even though he's lost his title, he's been stripped of his title, he is part of the elite class. So we need to read Animal Farm again. Yep. That's what we should do. Have a reading. Would you want me to do a book reading of Animal Farm? That'd be really awesome. That's what I should do. Use my dulcet tones. Read. Have like I'll just do a read of Animal Farm with sound effects. You know that the song that they created as their anthem, the animals created. George Orwell said that it sounded like it was a cross between Oh My Darling, Clementine, and La Cucaracha when they sang it. So that's what he said the song, and the lyrics were, beasts of England, beasts of Ireland, beasts of every land and clime, hearken to my callings of the future golden time. Or it's beasts of England, beasts of Ireland, beasts of every land and clime, hearken to my words of the passion. I don't remember. To the future golden time. And so, like, when I was like, this is how nerdy we were as kids. Like, we'd sing duets with one person doing La Cucaracha, another person doing it as Oh My Darling. There you go.
My Darling Cucaracha.
Yeah. That's so now you know that I actually read Animal Farm, at least in 7th grade. I don't think I've read it since then.
Dude, George Orwell, it's fascinating. Like, he knew, he said in 1984, he said that it's the young women are the most adherent to all these things. You know what I mean? Like, they're the ones that are most strident and believe what the party says. And it's like, wow, he was really a time traveler or something. He knew.
Yes, because man does not change. And I'm you know what I'm really proud of? I read Animal Farm and 1984 before 1984. It's true. I'm so freaking old. Somewhere between 8 to 12 million vets out of 350-ish million total in the U.S. Also, somewhere between 8 and 12 million vets out of 350 million total in the U.S. But you're also not counting, that's not just the 350 million citizens who would be getting this health care. It would be everyone who's here. So you're talking 400 million people, right? So now you're talking 8 to 12 million. 8 out of 400 is 0.5%. Right? Wait, no. 1% would be, let's just, it's between 2 and 3%. That's what it is, 2 and 3%. Because it'd be 1 for 100 million. 1% would be 2 for 200 million, 4 for 400 million. It's not 4 for 400 million, it's 8. So that's 2%. Between 2 and 3%. Also, you say you want it. I'm here to tell you you think you do, but you really don't. You say you want it. I'm here to tell you you think you do. You really don't want universal health care. You do not want universal health care. Yeah. I should tell Chunk Uger that. People with obesity issues like him really don't want universal health care. Yeah. So there you go. So the House Democrats really want Prince Andrew to get his butt on down there just so that they can claim that in a private room, he said that he knows all about what Trump did with Epstein. Now, he might go in there in a private interview and say, yeah, well, he asked me everything I know about Trump. I met him a couple of times and he seemed like he knew Epstein. And that way they can go out and he said, he told us everything he knew about Trump and Epstein, and it's disgusting. He won't say anything that's at all disgusting, but that's just how they'll characterize it. And this way they'll be able to splash Trump and Epstein linked together in private interview with the House Democrats. And Schiff will come out there Schiff's not, this is the House Democrats, so Schiff's not there anymore, but these idiots will come out there basically spreading their crap. That's all this is about, ultimately. That's what it's about. Kimmy Hunt saying Megyn Kelly interviewed Tucker about Fuentes on her tour. Video was released today. You don't need to review here, but I've DM'd the video link for your review. Starts at 3:30:40 timestamp. Well, thank you. Thank you very, very much. I actually think she probably did a good job questioning him about it because she does seem to do good interviews, even though she says he's a friend, which probably makes it more tricky to do a good interview. But I have confidence that Megyn Kelly probably did a good job. So,
I think there's a lot of stuff going on. I think I agree with your assessment that Fuentes is probably a Fed or Fed adjacent somehow, or
right.
And that it's parties, let's say parties that are antithetical to the MAGA movement that are trying to use Fuentes and other things to cause a rift and basically let the neocons rise again.
Right. And I think people, because we like to easily classify things, so we'll say Fed. And he may very well, I think the Fed has a lot of people who are not technically Fed, but they're confidential human sources, or they have relationships with federal agencies or CIA agencies or DHS agencies, and they have these relationships, and they basically, get pumped some money here and there and protection from anything. So I would be shocked if he doesn't have some sort of protection. There's no way possible that he did not get indicted unless he has some sort of protection. So, and you only earn that by being a pigeon. So, anyhow, that's what we got on that. Now we're up to another segment because we're exactly an hour 30 in. We're up to another segment that I want to introduce to you all after I get through these rants. But this is going to be around the world with
Oh, no,
Jim.
we have one. We have
one more?
We have
one
more.
What do we got? What do we got?
Brennan.
Oh, my
Brennan.
God. Oh, my God. The main one. Yeah, we're definitely doing Brennan. I told him we're definitely doing Brennan. He's the big face you see in my thumbnail there. We're definitely doing Brennan. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, Brennan. And I keep forgetting about that. We're definitely doing Brennan. All right, let me just do this real quick. Hands one pack says there was never significant tax break. It was only tax break if one person stayed home without pay. It was talking back about the marriage tax breaks, allowing the husband to use both standard deductions if filing jointly. Oh, okay. Thank you for clearing that up. I didn't even know what it was. I have an accountant take care of my taxes. Hands one also says, when you think of universal health care, just remember government lowest bid contracts and how that's worked out. Yep. Yeah. Where it's basically lowest bid contracts and it ends up going to some friend of theirs who sucks at it. And it seems like there's a lot of bribing going on. It's awful. And now that's your health care. God, it's terrifying. I had friends in Canada that told me that like you have to wait if the doctor thinks you might have a tumor in your brain, you have to wait 6 months for an MRI. Which is like, it's like, I guess what that means is they'll dig you up and see, oh, it was a brain tumor. You know, like 6 months, you got to wait for an MRI. I heard these nightmare stories. It's just horrible. That's Canada. You know, you think of that as being, first world country. No. So imagine, if you're in Canada, you can be like, okay, at least someone has money. They can be like, I'm going to borrow enough money that I'm going to take out all these loans and I'm going to go down to America and get me a freaking MRI. That's what I'm going to do. Well, if you don't have private health care here, and you have universal health care here, where are you going? Where are you going for that private MRI? There's nowhere to go. It's crazy.
I think there would still be uber wealthy people. There would be special hospitals. You would have two tiers, basically. Like you would have people like the people that are multi-billionaires and billionaires would have special private hospitals with private doctors
because it's socialism. There's always two tiers for the wealthy and the rest of the world. Yes, that's what socialism is. Thank you. That's exactly what it would be.
Yeah.
Where are we at in our thing? I'm wondering if I'm working Saturday. Oh, we're halfway. Ooh.
I thought you were closer to that. How many did you do? 15?
I did 15. We're 8 out of 15. I will tell you this. I was thinking like putting in there like 8 out of 15. I said we get 15. It doesn't have to be that. If we get to 250 total, I'll do it also. I'll do it that way. I'm learning from you.
I want my $2.
You want your $2.
That's the sort of I want my $2.
If we get to 250 total, I don't need to have like the 15. Hands one pack says solving healthcare involves removing insurance paying the bill before you see it. If you actually got bill, you would fight the dumb charges. If you actually got the bill, you would fight the dumb charges. Yeah.
I mean, before there was insurance, there was the guild system or lodge system. I'm sorry, the lodge system. Where all these things, like you had the Order to Elks, Order to Eagles, all these different things, the Shriners, all these, and they had lodge doctors, and you paid your lodge fee, and you got to see that doctor.
Really?
Yes, and that was the American Medical Association. The whole thing, actually, who did a great breakdown on it was Eric Hunley on that Proven Conspiracies. He did a great thing on it, breaking it down how it was AMA, a conspiracy, what they did to.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Before
that, before insurance was a big thing, it was like in the 60s or 70s when they started all the, basically to get around having to give people raises or something. They gave them benefits, and then it was
Mr. K, trust me. The way I'm going to do, Brennan, you're going to want to watch. Just trust me. Trust me. All right. Let's bring on up the Brennan story. Breaking grand jury subpoenas are rolling on out in Florida. Yes, Florida. They said Florida. Oh, it's Florida, the most base state in the country, where you're going to get juries that are basically like yee-hawing him, hopefully. Rolling out in Florida, and the MSDNC is a full-blown panic over the what's coming. Quote, one possibility is treason, which carries no statute limitations at all. Treason. I don't think they're doing treason. I don't know if they're going treason. Go back up a little bit. Mr. DDMIA posting has
that's
them
Mike.
shook.
That's Mike.
Mike Davis.
Yeah.
What do people who are in Magosphere know? What do people who are in the Magosphere know that we don't know? Oh, let's see. Let's see the clips.
So, Ken, help me understand if there were these previous investigations found no criminal wrongdoing
of Donald Trump.
So, Ken, help me understand if there were these previous investigations found no criminal wrongdoing involving Brennan, what changed?
No. Previous investigations, they didn't have all the stuff in the burn bags. See all the stuff in the burn bags? They didn't have that stuff. They didn't find no wrongdoing. They didn't have all the stuff in the burn bags. Also, John Durham was a plant. He was no better than Bill Barr. Go on.
And what more do you know about this U.S. attorney? Is this a Trump loyalist?
It's someone connected to Pam Bondi down in Florida. Definitely a Trump loyalist.
Stop. There's no such thing as a Trump loyalist. It's Trump's DOJ. There's no such thing as a Trump loyalist. Okay? It is Trump's DOJ. There's no independent. You want an independent, get a special counsel. That's what independent's supposed to be. Why is special counsel going after over there in their unofficial, not really special counsel, sort of independent counsel, special counsel, whatever it is? The people need to understand this. Every American needs to understand this. Hear me now, America, okay? The Justice Department is part of the executive branch. Their boss is Donald Trump. No different than you have a boss. They too have a boss. Even I have a boss. You know who my boss is? You. I have a boss. My boss is you. I have to, that if I don't come here, I don't get paid. Now, you might not realize it, but your views, those little likes, which you should be hitting already, the little that's you being my boss and saying, good job, Joey. That's what it is. We all got a boss to answer to. So my boss is you. Many people who don't work for themselves, so people working for themselves, their boss is their clients, right? Over here in our relationship, technically, you guys are my clients. Now, what I'm pointing out to you here is Pam Bondi got a boss, and her boss is the chief of the executive branch, and that is Donald Trump. It's not Congress. It's not the Supreme Court. It's not the judicial branch. It's not John Roberts, Chief Justice John Roberts. It is Donald Trump. He gives the direction for the DOJ. If he wants the DOJ to focus in a particular area of law, that's what they're supposed to do. That's part of fulfilling his agenda. You know what they're doing when they're doing that? They are fulfilling the will of the people. That is democracy. That is to the extent there's democracy in this constitutional republic that we herald so much and so often. To the extent there's democracy, your power to vote, your will is manifested and expressed through the president who you vote for. So if they are not answering to Donald Trump and not doing his will, that is a lack of democracy. Because now your only authority over them is who you put as her boss. That's your authority over them. That is democracy working. If they are actually doing the will of the president. Sometimes you have a situation where you have a special prosecutor or an independent prosecutor. Why do you need that? Why does that come up sometimes? Because sometimes, much like you have in a police force, you need to have internal affairs to sort of be looking at the cops themselves. So you need to have, if you have internal affairs, that, hey, we're sort of looking at our own boss over here. Or it looks a little shady because our boss is a adversary. But the only reason you need a special prosecutor is because there's a recognition. There's a recognition that the president is the DOJ's boss. If there's no relationship there, you would never need a special prosecutor. You would need an independent counsel. You wouldn't need any of that stuff, any of these made-up titles that came around 50 years ago. You wouldn't need any of this crap. The only reason you need that is because the way our system was set up, the American system was set up by our founders, is that the Department of Justice, the prosecuting branch, the prosecuting wing of the federal government, works for the president.
When you say someone is a Trump man, someone in the DOJ is a Trump man, there is, or woman, I guess in this context, you're talking about Pam Bondi, there is no greater compliment. Because that is what they are supposed to do. And if they fail to do it, they are letting you down because you made Trump her boss. So I am so sickened by these leftists who scream democracy, democracy, democracy. And then when it comes, they lose. Then they start pretending that all of a sudden now there should be some sort of, I don't know, angel of justice that the DOJ is supposed to be answering to. Oh, they have to work guided by their own ethics. Like all of a sudden there's some fourth wing of the government now where it's like, oh no, you don't answer to the president. No, why would you be answering the president? You have to answer to the call of ethics from the higher being who's telling you what direction you should be taking. Where the hell did that come from? Where did they get authority? So are they supposed to be looking to their Bible as to who they're supposed to be prosecuting? No, it's an agency of the government. That would be a violation of separation of church and state that you're always complaining about. So who the hell are they supposed to look to? Supposed to look at polls the way every stupid politician looks at? Like, oh, what do the people want me to do? Who do they want me to prosecute? How retarded is that? No, they have one boss. That boss is the president, the person you put there.
How would a special counsel or an independent counsel have any authority to do anything anyway? Because all the power flows from the president. So how could there be independent of the president when all executive power is vested in the president?
I'm sorry, one more time.
So how is any of these like independent counsel, special counsel, any of these things that are supposed to be like separate from the president? They only have power because of the president.
They recommend someone and it gets confirmed by Congress. So those two agencies working together would give them that special power.
I thought that was ruled unconstitutional.
No. That's how they get the same way judges get appointed that way. It's the same way a judge is supposed to be independent. They get appointed. It's referred by the judge and then confirmed by the Senate. So
yeah, but the only law that existed for that was the independent counsel statute that like Ken Starr operated under, which was ruled unconstitutional.
That's a separate issue. That's a whole separate issue. I was using the independent counsel to make a point as to why we need such a thing. Why would you need such a thing? If they're already independent, then you wouldn't need an independent counsel. Right? It wouldn't be internal affairs.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point to internal affairs is they're sort of like outside of the police agency and they're coming in here to look at what's going on inside the police agency. You wouldn't need that type of internal affairs thing if the DOJ was its own separate thing and guided by whatever the archangel Gabriel tells them. You know, or their conscience tells them.
What's weird too is because the FBI was sort of that way under Hoover, where they did whatever Hoover wanted. They weren't answerable to anybody.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's never good. That's never good at all. Brian Ogden, thank you so much. God bless you. And Brian Oldenkamp gifting. I would hit the bell here. But I don't think anyone heard either of those things. But
no one heard it? You don't think so?
Oh, I heard yours. Yeah, all right. We're going to go with that. We're going to go with that one. I hit the bell over here, but I'm the only one who heard it. Following 20 people brought into the following courtesy of, I did say, I'm going to count that as $100. I said, if we get to 250 tonight, I'm going to be doing a show. I'll do one better. If we hit 250 total tonight, I'm going to, whatchamacallit, I will.
You're going to eat a whatchamacallit?
I'll ask Nick for an invite. What? I think he's streaming.
He's streaming, yeah.
I think he's streaming. I'll ask him for an invite to pop on over there. Maybe he'll take me in there. I don't know.
I'm sure he will.
Good chance. There's a pretty good chance. I don't know. Does he have a guest on?
I don't think so.
I haven't hung out with Nick in a long time.
He hasn't done guests he goes on other people's shows.
We'll see. So the following 20 people brought into the following courtesy of Brian Oldenkamp. That would include Spuds, Mr. K, Chuck Morris, Sean Dankers, 2631, Nana, John Henry, Molly Brown, Joe Sullivan, Barb Belmont, Beverly Alford, Kernack, Ali R. Oh no, he jumped on me. Why did he jump on me? Don't jump on me. Come back. Ali R. Shelly R. Oh wow, we got like siblings there. Adam K. Jeff Trepto, Vanilla Gorilla. Ooh, I like that name. And Karate Kate Mom, as well as Will H. T-Rex, and Crypto Travels, and finally TZ Burton and Shaft.
Welcome to the following. Please be aware that even though it's called the following, it sounds like sort of like, kind of thing that like is like from based out of the 60s. And you might have some questions whether there's a little bit too much of the. No, it's not at all a cult type of cults. It's just a gathering of like-minded individuals who are seeking out greater personal growth through community, unity, learning, and thinking. Welcome to the following. We got cookies. Kimmy Hunt saying, MRI in my area, $2,000 without insurance. I had 3 with this cancer. After 80-20 Medicare, it was $400 copay. Thanks, Ken. All I kept my house because of you. You're awesome. I'm glad. Yeah, so fine. Yeah, you might have to pay $2,000, but at least that's an option, right? At least it's an option. If we have universal health care now, it's not an option. There's no other country to go to. Canadians could have come here if they had $2,000 and got an MRI, right? Not wait 6 months. I mean, ask Kimmy how it would have been for her. She had to wait 6 months for an MRI. She probably wouldn't be here. It's horrible. How many people that die for no reason? Why? Universal health care. Anyhow, let's get back.
I don't understand why an MRA would be $2,000. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of. I mean,
they're big machines.
They're big machines, but I'm just saying it doesn't cost much.
And because they can.
It's because they can. That's why.
It's because they can. Yeah, because they can. All right, let's watch the rest of this stupid report.
Changed in part, Anna, is that there was a criminal referral by the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, that when you read it, really didn't make a lot of logical sense. It strung together some things and tried to suggest that there was wrongdoing in the preparation of that intelligence assessment that really didn't stand up. But nonetheless, she issued this. She made it public,
that stood up fine. That stood up fine. There might be other questions you can ask about this particular looming indictment, but that stood up fine. That actually was pretty damning. That looked pretty awful for John Brennan. The real question they have here is Florida, because it's not who's indicting you or even what you're indicted for, but where. Where you're indicted is what matters. And this is what everyone has come to learn about our justice system.
You don't want to be in D.C. if you're a Republican, but if you're a Democrat in D.C., you're going to get let go.
That we have basically, because we have become so politicized, so ridiculously politicized, it does not matter what you're charged with. All that matters is who you are and where you are. And if you're in a deep blue state, you're almost certainly going to walk in a deep blue location. And if you're a deep blue state and you're known to be red, you are going to sizzle to the full extent that they're able to make you sizzle. It is not about what you've done. It's about who you are, and they don't like you. And they won't care. They'll find some basis to convict you, as we saw 34 times with Donald Trump. Or as we saw in D.C., where it doesn't matter how ridiculous the claims are the ridiculously obvious the claims are against crooked lawyers for Hillary, that they just dance out of court because they're with Hillary. So, yeah, that's why if you're Obama and his cronies, they're probably assuming, well, all your cases are going to have to bring it here in D.C. No one's going to convict me here. Everyone in D.C. loves me. I'm not getting. There's no way you're going to get 12 people to convict me. No, that's never happening. And that's why the location of Florida is so terrifying. Because Florida, I think it's possible that they'll be like looking to fry, but it's much more likely to actually be a fair trial.
Yeah. No, and the guy, people are saying that the guy that the guy with the big cojones in Southern Florida is a Pam Bondi guy. He's not actually. He's a Marco Rubio guy.
All right. Well, let's go further.
understand is one of the basis for including Brennan in this investigation and suggesting that there's somehow new wrongdoing, newly declassified information, even though John Durham, as we understand it, had access to everything connected to that intelligence assessment and connected to the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane investigation.
So, Lisa, if they have issued grand jury subpoenas, does this indicate they are, in fact, planning to try to seek an indictment?
Not necessarily, not yet. However, Mike Davis, who is the person that Ken was just referring to, has gone on social media and sort of loudly advertised that in the Southern District of Florida, where Jason Quinones is the U.S. attorney, they are expected to convene a grand jury in late January. Convening of grand juries, Anna, happens all the time.
I mean, look at that
and the
guy.
fact that it is known.
Look at that guy. You gonna tell me that guy's not gonna bring justice?
He looks
That face says justice is coming.
Yeah, it does. It does. He looks faced.
His name is Cajones. Come on.
I think it's Quinones, but yeah,
I'm calling him Cajones.
We can go with that. I'll
Big
allow
Cajones.
I'll allow it.
In part may have to do with the fact that just logistically, a clerk's office has to actually find grand jurors through the normal jury selection process. But why it is that Mike Davis is assigning a lot of importance to that January 26th grand jury in Fort Pierce, Florida, leaves people like me and Ken scratching our heads. What do people who are in the MAGAsphere know that we don't know? It could be that as part of these grand jury
one thing we know,
and as
one thing we know is it's not the MAGAsphere, it's the MAGAsphere.
Yeah,
that's one thing. That's one thing we know. So yeah, they're like there's something they know that they feel like they can get it down in Florida. How are they getting it down in Florida? This doesn't add up. We never thought that they get Brennan down in Florida.
It's a grand conspiracy because of the raid on Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, anyway, that's where we're going. We're going to Mar-a-Lago. And the idea of them being hung. Wait, pictures are hung, people are hanged. The idea of them being hanged. Sorry, that was my dad's voice I heard echoing in my head there. The idea of these conspirators being hanged in Florida for the raid on Mar-a-Lago is just chef's kiss, because that case blew up in smoke. It was all performance arts and theater that they were trying to humiliate him by going into his house and sending a raid on the former president's house. And that would be the cause for their downfall is awesome. Amazing. That makes me say, America, F yeah. Like it gets me like just so good. So good. It's like there's 3 seconds left in regulation on Monday Night Football, and you're down by 4 points, and your guy just scores a meaningless touchdown. Like you're just like, yes, that's what it is. You're just like it's like a salvation type of that never should have happened, but oh my God, I can't believe it did. That's what this feels like. Go on.
Investigation continues. They are anticipating being able to present to a grand jury sometime either in late January or in the weeks and months thereafter.
So do you have a sense of the potential charges that could be in play?
I don't. And
All right, let's get to the next clip. That was right next to that.
Yeah, there we go.
So do you have a sense of the potential charges that could be in play?
I don't, and I will be very clear with you that I have been texting some of our colleagues and others furiously this morning trying to understand what they are. Partially that's because many of the charges that you could imagine might be brought, and I'm not suggesting that I think they do or don't have merits, are time barred already. So I'll just give you one example. There are some who believe that the investigations that Ken was speaking of are a conspiracy against the civil rights of President Trump.
If it's a conspiracy, doesn't it extend with the conspiracy when the last act of the conspiracy occurred, right? So that would be when they raided Mar-a-Lago?
No, it would be long after that.
Oh, you're right.
It
would be after
much
that.
more recent than that.
Yeah,
right?
It would be probably the hearings or the trials or different things,
or the Jack Smith, even though he's not really appointed in Florida, and the case is dismissed because he's not appointed in Florida. And they're trying to prosecute him with the guy who's not appointed and never should have been, never should have brought the case in the first place, as the judge has already decided, because that's what Judge Cannon decided, that this case never should have been brought because you don't have no authority. So that's kind of sounds like a violation. Imagine you managed to convince some federal agents to bring charges against me
right? And you are leading the charge here. You have no less authority than Jack Smith. You violate my civil rights. And the purpose of that civil rights, they're going to say, is basically, I don't know, arguably, conspiracy to commit treason. It's hard to say treason, but conspiracy to violate my civil rights, at the very least. It's hard to, I don't see treason because he wasn't president at this point.
I think you could call it a conspiracy against the United States because of all the stuff that occurred while Trump was president.
I think so. I think you could. I think you could. But this is a very tricky, and I'm gonna walk through this because this is a little bit complicated on the law here. So I'm gonna walk you through it after we finish this.
All right. You want to hit the super chats first, or?
Yeah. No, let's finish up the
okay.
Those charges, however, carry a 7-year statute of limitations. If you think about the fact that John Brennan left government no later than the end of the Obama administration, that 7-year term has passed. One other possibility is, of course, treason, which carries no statute of limitations at all. There are a very small category of federal crimes that don't have a statute of limitations. And then, of course, there's the theory of an ongoing conspiracy. A statute of limitations for a conspiracy that keeps going and is sort of continuing in nature runs for 5 years from the last overt act that somebody took to basically execute on that conspiracy or agreement to do something in violation of the law. Again, John Brennan left government more than 5 years ago, but the theory could be that as he has continued to talk, even in his capacity as an analyst, he might be doing something that they would consider criminal. But again, I'm scratching my head, as are many others, about what the potential
You're not
could be.
scratching
All
your
right,
head.
Lisa Rubin, Ken Delaney, and we know you're going to continue to work your sources. Thank you for bringing
You're not scratching your head. No, you know what it is. You know what it is. You just walked us through it. You're not scratching your head. You know what it is. It is this conspiracy. That's how they're going to keep it lingering. That's exactly where they're going with this. You have more clips you want to share with me?
Yeah, there's one more here.
All right. You have one more clip that you want to share with me?
Yeah, well, of this, and then it goes on, says there's news articles.
All right. So give me the one clip. Give me the clip. Let's get that out of the way.
All right.
Is this the same thing?
I don't think so.
Oh, yes. Okay, go ahead.
Well, so John Brennan is one of the key figures in what really is a massive and sprawling investigation as envisioned down in South Florida. And the reason it's down there, and that's new, we're reporting today that the U.S. Attorney in South Florida is leading this investigation, is because that's where the Mar-a-Lago search was. And so what they're trying to do here is knit together what they see as an ongoing conspiracy to violate Donald Trump's civil rights that began with the Russia investigation and continued on from Obama administration to Biden administration, and then somehow includes the Jack Smith investigations. It's this unified field theory of persecuting Donald Trump. And John Brennan, of course, was a central figure in the preparation of that 2017 assessment into Russian election interference. And of course, the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane investigation figures into that. How this all shakes out, Katie, is anyone's guess, because we've not seen any evidence connecting any of these things, let alone any wrongdoing.
No evidence.
And in point of fact, as you well know, John Durham, the special counsel appointed in the Trump administration, looked exhaustively, particularly at the Russian.
He did not. You said it earlier. He did not have access to any of the shit that was in the burn bags. He did not know nothing about it.
As far as we know, no reason to assume he would have.
No.
You got 20 seconds left. Play the last 20 seconds.
Interference assessment and at the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane investigation, and found no criminal wrongdoing by John Brennan or any other major figure. But here the Justice Department is trying to take another crack at this, as we understand.
Lisa? I think what Ken has just postulated is maybe the most reasonable theory.
Okay. Yeah.
Reasonable.
It is the most reasonable theory, which means when MSDNC is phrasing it that way, that's their way of saying, yeah, there could be some basis here. Yeah, there's a chance. They got a shot here. Now, I will tell you this. It's not an easy case.
No, it's not
very,
an easy
very
case.
hard case, and I'll explain to you in just a moment why. I'm going to do the super chats first, and then I'm going to go through. Okay, because we hit our 2 hours. We're at our 2 hour mark. I think
Before I forget, make sure you go into your customization settings in YouTube and set up the redirect to Nick's stream if you're going to go over there.
Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate that. I should.
I already
that.
did mine too. I'm going to send my whole 6 people over there.
Awesome. All right. Let's.
I'm just kidding. I got more than 6 people. I should insult them.
Yeah. What are you insulting them for? What did they do to you? I mean, customization and go.
I got 60. Wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
It is.
Let's see if I can dig them up.
You got to basically type in the entire Ricada.
Yeah,
To come up.
It's very annoying. He's wearing sunglasses tonight. Cool.
He's been wearing sunglasses a lot lately. I don't know. It's his
all
new. It's his new look, maybe.
All right. I'm gonna head on over. I'm gonna ask him if I can get on in there after I redirect over there. So what I wanted to, we did. I'm gonna tell you right now. Let me just set up this redirect before I forget, because that would suck. That would suck for me if I didn't set up a redirect.
Just off my non-lawyer math, I would say you did hit your goal because you had that $100 for the 20 memberships, and then Brian came in with a $50 super chat.
You're jumping my snake here. Give me a
I
moment.
know.
All
I'm
right.
jumping the Snake River.
Vivian.
I'm Evil Knievel.
For the cult fund, God bless you, Vivian. Thank you so much. Not at all a cult type of cult. Kimmy Hunt, Fusion GPS, Ken Delanian says Trump loyalists. Yeah. I jumped all over that. Brian Oldenkamp, hey, the 50. How much more you need for 250? I'm down for Logic Riquetta reunion.
I think you're $50 short, actually, now that I did my math.
Don't know where you come up with that. No, I think that this actually pushed us over because we got 11 there, which that's 110 a minimum, right? That's not even counting the $5 ones. And then we had the 20 from that the 20 new members Brian brought in, which is another 100, and then he brought this in. So that I'm counting as 150. So we made our goal. We made our goal, and accordingly, I will tell you that I will be. I'll be sending. I'll ask him once I close out here, which I'm probably not going to be much longer here. Once I close out here, I'm going to be going over there and asking him if he wants to send me a link, and I'll hang out. I'll try to hang out there for like an hour or so. Also, I will, God willing, be doing a show on Saturday night. So good job, you. I would hit the horn, bam, but I don't. You need like a truck thing, maybe, or something. You know.
I could play something for you. Ready?
So let's make a whole announcement about it.
Tactical assessment. Red Chinese victory.
No.
Impossible.
No, stop. No. I don't. That's Optimus Prime or something.
No, that's Liberty Prime from Fallout.
Okay. Brian Ogden also contributing to the cause. God bless you, Brian. Thank you. Could it be that they're doing Florida and D.C. to establish things going across state lines, demonstrating a larger scale situations? I think they really just want to be in Florida, mostly. I think they just really, really want to be in Florida because of the jurisdiction is much more favorable towards actually getting conviction. And if they bring anything in D.C., it's a complete and total waste of time, which will end up ultimately being an embarrassment to both Trump and the DOJ when they inevitably get acquitted. You could have pictures of them like mowing down people with machine guns, and they're going to be acquitted there. So it's not. There's no point. There's no point to bringing it there, and all you can do is embarrass yourself and Pam. So why do that? Florida, though, Florida's a whole greener pasture than DC. Now, what I will tell you is this. Even what they're trying to explain there, like how are we getting to Florida? So you bring in you're talking about John Brennan, and then you're talking about Mar-a-Lago. We sort of need to slow our roll here, even if, assuming we have a fair jury in Florida. And you could, I guess, get a hang 'em high, jury, which will just convict them. That's possible. It's certainly at least a possibility in Florida. Not likely, considering it's probably going to be in the Southern District of Florida, which I think is Miami. So, it's not going to be like hardcore MAGA there, probably. But you have a chance. You certainly have a chance. Here's the problem you have here. And this is why I could agree with that assessment from that, was it Ken Delanian or whatever his name is, Denalian? I don't know. That it is sort of knitting and stitching things together. Because if we just think back, we understand that if you look at the life and times of Donald John Trump and the aggressive attacks that he's faced from these ridiculous, incessant, crap-slinging Democrats, it's very easy for us to just throw it all together and say, this is a giant conspiracy. That's the easy way to just look at it and say, look at the life and times and how hard they went after them. But you can't do that when you're in the context of actually trying to prosecute a case. You have to show a connection between this and that, this and that, and that this is all connected in one grand thing if you're going to get a conspiracy here now. So what did John Brennan allegedly do? Well, he was involved in late 2016, December of 2016, into early 2017, during the transition stage from Obama to Trump, that he was involved in this operation, in this Operation Crossfire Hurricane, where they're basically trying to make it look as if the Russians had helped Trump win the election. So he's part of this whole freaking grand conspiracy. That's back in 2016, 2017. And it culminates with this report, which was the intelligence community assessment, which was complete lies. You want to tell me there's a conspiracy on that? Yeah, there is. The problem is if you try bringing that case in, and you can say that they're covering up the conspiracy. So all the heads of these agencies, James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, theoretically, even Barack Obama, because I don't think he's got immunity for this, assuming he's engaged in a conspiracy purposefully trying to undermine Trump. That's a conspiracy to basically, to against the United States and against Trump's civil liberties. All of these things here are a conspiracy. You bring those charges in D.C., and they go up in smoke because it's D.C. We covered that. So now you want to get it to Florida. Well, how are you going to get it to Florida? People are like, oh, you know how you got to Florida? Let's look at Mar-a-Lago and the whole raid there and everything that happened there. The problem is that the raid in Mar-a-Lago and all that stuff happens 4 years later. After, almost 4.5 years later. After this whole thing happens with Brennan and Clapper, and the conspiracy that they have there, you can say is ongoing when they testify before the Senate, and they
Brennan was involved with the 51 intelligence people too.
Okay, all right, we'll get there. So you want to tell me that he's involved in the 51? I think that's a very
the Hunter Biden thing.
The Hunter Biden laptop that he was overseeing, and he was part of the 51. Maybe he orchestrated that whole thing also. But now you need to show that he's part of the raid on Mar-a-Lago. He has no role in office at this point in time. The raid on Mar-a-Lago, why did that come? What was the basis of that they said? They say that when Trump left office, not in 2016, 2017, or 18, or 19, or even 20, but in 2021, when he's leaving office, that he took all these documents and took them to a non-secure place and then left them in a non-secure place in 2021. Now, Brennan was working overtime in 2020 to help him lose the election. Even that is hard to say that action is part of the undermining his presidency, because that's really undermining his reelection. Maybe you can try and tie that into undermining his presidency also. But you're already stretching those first actions from Crossfire Hurricane, those first actions of undermining Trump 45, his first administration. And now you're talking into his efforts to win re-election. And now, then he loses or is declared a loser. Sorry, my throat just suddenly dried. Now you need to stitch together how that's going to tie in to the raid on Mar-a-Lago. Well, why is the raid on Mar-a-Lago? The basis of that is that he's taking documents. Now,
I never understood that anyway, because those documents were taken while he was president.
Oh, the whole claim was stupid and ridiculous, and Jack Smith is crazy, and everything about it was stupid. And I don't want to get into the legitimacy of the underlying claims in that Florida case.
But I guess it's sort of relevant for the purposes of saying that it was all a sham trial designed to try and harass them and keep him from becoming president. But that's an effort to keep him from becoming president 47, not president 45. It's a personal vendetta they have against him individually. But now you're getting into really stretching it. Like, a lot of people hate Trump. I don't think every one of us would recognize that it's true. A lot of people do hate Trump. And they might be working in same circles, but that doesn't mean that they're working together in a conspiracy. We know that Chunk Uger hates Trump. Does that mean he's working with Clapper? No. He's working with Comey? No. Well, just like Chunk Uger or Rachel Maddow might hate Trump, that doesn't mean he's working with Clapper and Comey. And so too Jasmine Crockett and AOC and Bernie Sanders may hate Trump. That doesn't mean they're working with Clapper and Comey or Jack Smith. They might like what Jack Smith is doing.
Though. They could be.
Okay, true. But my point...
CIA has Operation Mockingbird, which everyone knows about. It's where they send people to go work in the media, do all this stuff.
Right. And the thing is, you would need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they were working in the same group. Now, in the same group, you don't have to know each other. You don't have to know everyone who's part of the conspiracy.
Well,
so if you have, this, I do want to be clear here.
Point one thing out, though.
Well, come.
South Florida is known for an area where they believe government conspiracies.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get to whatever. But
you know what I'm saying?
Right. But the point that I'm getting at is, much like in the mob, not everyone in the mob is going to know everyone else in the mob. They're not going to know what other people in the mob are doing. So then it's still considered an agency. They're still working all together. And maybe they can bring RICO charges.
Right. Just what I was going to say. You think RICO? They can get RICO.
Maybe they can. Maybe they will bring RICO charges. But the same way that you can, the same way to say that this is all part of the same agency, you're going to need to have some figure who's tying them all together. Right? You need to have, if it's a RICO thing, you need to have one person there who's the central figure, and then they have lots of spokes coming out from them. And Brennan would be one of those spokes, unless you tell me that Brennan is overseeing, connected to Jack Smith somehow. How is he ending up in Florida? What is his tie? All the stuff he did in 2016, 2017, all the stuff he did with the laptop and 51 agents, what does that have to do with Jack Smith ultimately trying to wrongfully try to prosecute him in Florida, or Merrick Garland authorizing a raid in Mar-a-Lago? Because even though I'm sure he popped champagne the day that Mar-a-Lago was raided. So did AOC, and so did Rachel Maddow, and so did 1,000 losers in Hollywood. But none of those losers in Hollywood were part of that effort for the raid on Mar-a-Lago. And there's no reason, as far as is publicly available today, to say that Brennan was involved in that raid on Mar-a-Lago. Or with Merrick Garland, or with Jack Smith. So you need to have some sort of connecting central thing. Now, maybe Joseph R. Biden is the connecting figure. Hard to really accept, considering the fact that he's so geriatric that you think no one's going to think of him as being a criminal mastermind. Go sell that to people that he's a criminal mastermind here. So you might want to say Barack Obama, or you're going to bring charges against Barack Obama for it. That would be logical, but that's a much tougher fish to pull out of the ocean.
There's got to be somebody, Joe. There's got to be somebody. That was somebody maybe that was chief of staff. What was that guy's name? Ron Klain, or maybe
it could be. It could be. These are.
There's got to be somebody that was directing it, though. That's what I'm saying. There has to be somebody.
But so that's why I'm saying, when MSNBC is trying to figure out how are you getting to Florida, that's not a completely empty question, because even I am sitting here saying, it does feel like you're trying to knit together these anti-Trump people with those anti-Trump people, and now say we don't have to charge them in D.C. We're gonna attach you in here in Florida. And it does seem as if you're going to need to do a lot of knitting there in order to try and say that's why they're connected. And that's why.
An expert knitter?
Who's that?
Harmeet Dillon. He's a professional knitter.
Yeah, although she's part of the AG's office. She doesn't really have the same role.
Just
here.
A joke, because she's always posting pictures of her knitting things. So actually
I never
knitting.
understood that. Yeah. That went over my head. Yeah, so that's the problem. So assuming you have a fair jury in Florida, which I think we can have a reasonable expectation of having a fair jury in Florida, a fair jury is going to say, you need to prove to me beyond a reasonable doubt that he's related to this. There was nefarious activity that he did,
and nefarious activity that happened here in Florida, and that they're related to each other enough that I can catch John Brennan. That's a lot of things that you need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. So it's not an easy case, but it's certainly a better case than any case you can bring in DC, which is a dead man walking from before you even file it. It's a corpse. It's a zombie. Any case you're gonna start putting together in DC. It's not. It's just basically, if you try bringing cases while you're writing it, you're just like, it's like the papers come to rise to life, and they're basically like brains.
But no, I mean, is the tie to Florida because the raid on Mar-a-Lago and all this whole grand conspiracy, let's call it, tied into this raid, and because that act happens here, everyone gets dragged to Florida with the conspiracy?
In theory. But it's a stretch.
You know I heard the judge that's overseeing it all is Eileen Cannon.
Now that's an interesting wrinkle. That's a very, very interesting wrinkle. That's an interesting wrinkle. She could be very helpful. Anyway, I need to. So that's what we got. We didn't get to do our new thing tonight.
If you want to give me 10 minutes, we can pound through some of these things real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna just remind you all that you should please sub up to Jim when Jim tells you. I'm putting it in the link in the description over here, for where you can find Jim.
You can find me on Rumble or YouTube at Jim Tells You, or on X at Jim Tells You or Jim Satala, either one. I have 2 X accounts. They wouldn't let me change my handle on X.
And I'm gonna pin it. And I'm gonna pin it in the chat also. Those of you who are not yet subbed up to him, that you can remedy that ex post facto. And I like how you made sure it was exactly the right number of characters.
I did that, right?
Yeah, well done. Yeah, well done. That's professionalism right there. All right. Did I miss anything? I might have had 1 or 2. Going back, what was the exact thing that happened that caused the left to hate DJT? I can't really remember the precise issue that brought it on.
He decided he wanted to run for president. Didn't get their permission.
They were told to hate him. It's not something he did. They were told to hate him. What he did was he followed Obama. That's what he did. He followed Obama. And Obama spent 8 years saying the other side is deplorable. The other side is racist. The other side doesn't like us. The other side doesn't like black people. The other side doesn't like Mexicans. The other side, I'm not, certain folks, he wouldn't say they don't like. He's like, certain folks are just not as comfortable. With the idea of people moving in here who don't look like the Americans they're used to. He wouldn't even say brown skin people. He would just sort of, to them they think it looked funny, but they need to remember that America was built on immigration. And he would just flow right through it, as if I didn't just call them racist, but anyone who's listening to him, who's an adoring fan, which he had millions of them, heard, wow, they're a bunch of freaking racists.
I never liked that when people say America was built on immigration. America was built on settlers. People settled. They came here and settled the land. They conquered the land. It was not just, they didn't just immigrate here and just, we're here now. No, they had to work to defeat the land.
Right, but the
They
point
were
is,
hard people.
I mean, that has a lot more legitimacy. Norm Eisen, Mark Elias, Garland, Ray Comey. It's a tough. I'm just saying, it's a tough road to you got to prove every step there beyond a reasonable doubt. It's tough. It's very, very tough.
Well, they could get lucky. They could get a judge like Merchan that just says, take something from packet A, packet B, figure it out. And we didn't get to that story either today.
We didn't get to that story. Was there something else you want me to give you 10 minutes here?
If you want, we just bounce through these real quick. We got this. I'll hold on. Let me skip off of here. Where we at here?
All right. Around the world, real quick. I was planning to spend like a half hour doing this with him, but we're going to go around the world real quick. Other news stories that I said that when he gave me a list of 30 stories, I was like, these are the ones that we need to share. You want to do the
Right here. Appeals court lets Trump revive bid to overturn criminal conviction in hush money case.
So that's the 34 convictions that he got in the state of New York. The federal appeals court on Thursday let President Trump revive his bid to overturn criminal conviction in the hush money case. U.S. Second Circuit Court of Appeals allowing Trump to argue before a lower court to move his case to federal court. Last year, Trump was convicted on 34 counts in New York State. We all know about that. Go forward. 3-judge panel. So then he tried going to federal court saying, hey, this is totally unconstitutional how they convicted me here. 3-judge panel, and when he lost on the district court said, I'm not hearing your case. A 3-judge panel on the appeals court ruled that it cannot be confident a lower judge adequately considered Trump's arguments as he sought to move the case. Quote, the court bypassed what we consider to be important issues, bringing the ultimate issue of good cause. The panel wrote, the court bypassed what we consider, one more time, to be important issues bearing on the ultimate issue of good cause. The judges said they have no view on whether Trump's strategy should ultimately succeed, just that the lower judge needs to reconsider his prior ruling.
What happened, the judge refused and said that he waited too long to try to remove it. But the reason he waited is because there was stuff going in front of the Supreme Court. There was different decisions. And then they said they weren't supposed to use any official acts in the prosecution, but they did use official acts. So once they decided to use the official acts, when they said, wait, you can't do this, that's when they said, well, we've got to remove this in federal court because you used official acts. So they kind of
I see.
With.
So in other words, even before his trial, he said, hey, I want to be in federal court.
Right.
And they said, we're not accepting it. So he appealed that. So basically, if in fact he had a right to be in federal court, those New York prosecutions theoretically would be overturned immediately.
Yeah. So there's that.
And he would then, in theory, face charges in federal court now.
Well, no, the case would be dismissed because he has immunity, because there were official acts that they used. They would have to get rid of all the official acts that they tried to use.
Right. Although I don't know how many were official acts there.
Well, that was all the evidence they presented was the official acts, the statements from Hope Hicks, what he talked about, any of the payments that happened while he was, like there's all this stuff. And the way they laid it out, where everything
some of them could be classified as official as acts that have a presumption but not an unbreakable immunity. Fair enough. Trump announces major deal with Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk to slash cost of GLP-1 medication for diabetes and obesity. Oh, we're fighting again. We're going to help the
Trump
fatties.
declares war on the fatties.
War on the fatties. According to White House, the agreement represents a historic reduction in prices for Americans on the two drugs with the highest annual expenditures in the U.S., both of which help adults struggling with diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and other conditions. I'll tell you right now that when I was looking to lose weight, in case you're following the whole weight gain loss of good logic, some of you may be, monitoring your scales at home. You shouldn't be. It's a little disturbing. But in case you are, I don't have anything to hide. During the course of my doing this show here, I went up from like 190 to like 235. And then I got back down to 193. My ideal weight is like 180, 85. 180 is probably my ideal weight. And I got back down to 193 over the holidays, as I knew I would during a month-long period of like holiday every other day. So I ended up going back up to 207, but I'm in the process of shedding it now. So I'm back in my diet phase, in case you're wondering. And I'm just a little over 200 now. But I expect that by the end of the winter, by New Year's, I should be down under 190. That's my goal, is that by New Year's I should be under 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Yeah, that's reasonable. I think around New Year's I should be around 190, and I'm hoping that by the time I hit my next birthday, the last 10 pounds are the hardest. I'll be like I'll be down at 180. I find that when I get determined to lose weight, it's not much of a challenge. But I thought about using Ozempic, and Lady Logic is like, if you use Ozempic, they say you're going to be on it for the rest of your life. And then I heard about all these lawsuits against Ozempic. I don't know if any of them have any legitimacy, or some do. But it got me a little nervous. So happy now.
Something to do with law, eyesight too, where you could go blind from it.
That's kind of unsettling.
Yeah,
that's pretty unsettling. I kind of like the ability to, like,
See things, yeah.
Happening now, Judge McConnell was going further around the world. Happening now, Judge McConnell is sharply rebuking the Trump administration for what he said was defying his order to make full SNAP payments by November 5th. He ordered USDA to make the full payment to states by tomorrow. Understand what's happening here, because I need to explain this to Lady Logic because she wasn't understanding the situation.
And that wasn't even his order, though, Joe. His original order was not to make full SNAP payments. It was to use the contingency funds.
Yeah.
Or if he wanted to find money from somewhere else. Now he's ordering them to take money from WIC and the children's, the lunch program.
Yeah.
Which he has no fucking authority to do that, to tell them to take this money from over there. Nowhere does he get that power.
I would be shocked if he was even in the complaint. Because why would they think that they have authority to do that? In case you're wondering what's happening, since the government shut down, so you probably heard about how there has been no SNAP, that people who are on SNAP, these are what older folk would call food stamps, that they would basically get their charge cards refilled on the first of the month. That did not happen November 1st because there's a government shutdown. So, but there's an emergency stash of funds for SNAP, and that had already been designated.
But it's not supposed to be used. It's specifically, according to the statute, not supposed to be used for regular SNAP payments. It's for if there's a hurricane, if there's a flood, if there's a fire, if there's a war, if there's something where people can't get food and they have to give them, they can't work, they can't get food. There's an emergency. They give them emergency SNAP funding to go get food. Right. That's what that contingency fund is for, not for this.
Right.
So,
not because the government decides to shut down.
Yeah.
Okay. That being said, there's $5 million in that fund, or $5 billion in that fund or so. 4.5, 5 billion, something like that, in that fund. When they went to court, Trump was like, I'm happy to give him the money. The problem is, it used to be that SNAP was like $4 or $5 billion a month. And this would have covered that. But under the Biden administration, in the last 4 years or so, it's now up at $9 billion. And logistically, we're not sure how to actually get this money out to the different states, to get that $5 billion out, where it's going out to the right different states for them to apportion out to their people. So we need you to just guide us as what you want us to do. And so it's like, we're doing we'll do it. Just tell us how. Because we don't want you to later claim that we did something wrong here. So
it's $9 billion a month in benefits and $1.5 billion a month in the administrative costs to pay all the people in all the states that administer it, because it's all paid for by the federal government.
Which sounds insane.
It is. It's insane.
But yeah, so now they're basically saying, well, why didn't you use WIC? And why didn't you use these other food programs, school
lunch program? This is school lunch program.
School lunch programs, in order to get it funded. And it's like, where did that come from? That's like, why don't you ask us to use the money for the judiciary for this? They're both food, but that doesn't mean we're supposed to just be mixing together. These are separate accounts. This is like all official stuff. You can't just start sloshing together money for here to money for there. That would be illegal for him to do. Mm-hmm. So,
but they put him in a bad position. They really did.
Because
the Democrats could run and say, Trump, I was thinking
Trump is starving the poor.
Right, but I wanted to do it, Joe, and I was going to ask you.
Sorry. They were basically saying Trump shut down the government, which is a lie, and now they're trying to say Trump shut down the government and he's starving the poor.
But I was thinking, like, with the whole thing, when the judge ordered them to make the partial payments, I was going to say that someone should sue, since Trump can't go and appeal because they'll make him look better. Say, look, he's appealing. He doesn't want to feed the people. Someone could sue under the APA and say that you can't reduce this without notice and comment, because it's a change to a final rule. The payment's this whole amount. So if you have to make a partial payment and you don't have the money, it's illegal to do it.
Yeah. It's,
who
has standing to bring
someone who's collecting
agency that's
someone who was going to collect EBT and not get the full amount. You cut my full amount. So it's not proper notice of comment.
So they would be the plaintiff saying, "Don't give me any money because you're not giving me the full money."
Whatever, give me the full money. I don't know.
It doesn't sound like they have a wrong to be redressed.
So I don't know, but it's a violation of the APA. That's what they keep suing Trump over, to violate the APA. I wanted to use it against him.
I know, but that doesn't sound like it's a thing that the court has the possibility to redress, because what are they supposed to do? McConnell said Trump's True Social post was essentially an admission of his intent to defy the court order when he said SNAP payments will be given only when the government opens. As a result, people will go hungry, food pantries will be burdened, and suffering will occur. It's likely that SNAP recipients are hungry as we sit here, McConnell says. He also said Trump and his allies have admitted to withholding SNAP benefits for political reasons. What? Rather than preserve child... No one's ever heard them say it, but he's admitted it. Rather than preserve child nutrition programs, which the judge said was a pretext. What an idiot.
Yes, he said, "Oh, you're trying to preserve this stuff." But anyway, so yeah, there's that.
Apparently, anyone named McConnell in D.C. is basically is a walking zombie. Wow. All right, what else we got going on around the world?
Right here.
Trump administration speeds up new rule that would make it easier to charge some protesters. Go get them. Go get them. The Trump administration is speeding up the implementation of new rules that would give the agency tasked with protecting federal government facilities greater authority to charge people for a broader array of offenses on or off those properties. So these people who are basically trying to be jackasses and stopping ICE, that we're broadening the rules to basically say, F yeah. The changes outlining the powers of Federal Protective Service, an agency within the DHS, were put forward in early January under the Biden administration, was slated to take effect on January 1st next year, but instead went into effect Wednesday. The administration said the rules were being changed ahead of time so they could address a recent surge in violence. They come as protests have surged against President Donald Trump's mass deportation agenda. Do they say what the particular rules are?
It's masks. You're not allowed to wear masks on federal property if you're protesting. So any type of thing
you see that here? Because I didn't say.
I can. It's right here.
That's because that's really. I didn't see where it was talking specifically about masks. That's why I was. That's very small. I see nothing. I see nothing. I know nothing.
See it yet?
Yeah, sort of.
Anyway, I have to find a section about it.
Oh my god.
It's a long.
Oh my god.
Anyway, it's here. It's basically about masks.
Saying that they're not allowed to wear masks when they're on federal property.
Yeah, it says right here. All persons prohibited from following conduct,
littering, damaging, or otherwise changing the appearance of federal property. No graffiti in any way except through authorized normal and customary use. Removing federal property without proper authority, no ripping down stuff, creating any hazard or threat to hazard by like blocking the road, throwing articles of any kind from or at federal property, no throwing your rocks, climbing on any statue found or part of federal facility on any tree, nice, using, operating, parking, locking, or storing any vehicle or personal transportation device on federal property. So I didn't see masks here, but these are all
right here,
things.
Prohibited conduct.
Prohibited conduct. All persons are prohibited from engaging in the following conduct. Disorderly conduct, which includes but is not limited to assaulting, fighting, harassing, intimidating, threatening, or other violent behavior, lewd acts, or the inappropriate disposal of feces, urine, or other bodily fluids. Wearing a mask, hood, disguise, or a device that conceals the identity of the wearer when attempting to avoid detection or identification while violating any federal, state, or local law or ordinance. Creating loud or unusual noise. They blast the blaring stuff. Oh, finally, my God. I'm wondering why it's taking so long for them to stop this. Creating a loud or unusual noise, obstructing the usual use, enjoyment, and access to federal property, including but not limited to use of entrances, exits, exterior exits, plazas, courtyards. You can't just start bull rushing federal buildings the way they've been doing.
Yeah.
Start throwing these folks in jail. Like start like literally throwing them in jail. Oh, you want to go further?
Hold on.
Is that it?
That's it. I want to get these other ones in here. Here we go.
Oh,
we were told.
Right. We were told this is impossible by Scott Jennings. The mayor of Coldwater, Kansas, Jose Ceballos, has been revealed to be a foreign national who not only got elected while not being a citizen, but has also been voting in federal state elections since at least 2022. Oh, my God. Illegal alien Jose Ceballos. This is great.
The mayor of Coldwater accused of election fraud. The charges come hours after he secured a second term in office. Attorney General Chris Kobach charged Mayor Jose Joe Ceballos with 6 felonies, 3 counts each of voting without being qualified and election perjury. Kobach claims Ceballos is lawfully living in the U.S., but is a citizen of Mexico, making him ineligible to vote. The AG alleges The mayor illegally cast ballots in the August 2024 primary
Did
and
you hear
November
it?
2022 and 2023 general elections.
In large part, our system right now is based on trust. Trust that when the person signed the registration or signs the poll books saying that he's a qualified elector or that he is a United States citizen, that the person is telling the truth.
We reached out to Mayor
Why?
Ceballos for comment, but have not heard back yet. The Coldwater City Council, though, released a statement on social media saying the mayor called them in for a special meeting over the noon hour to, quote, discuss recent events that have transpired with the Kansas Attorney General's office. While the recent allegations involving the mayor are understandably concerning, we will allow the proper legal process to take its course before making any further comments, unquote.
Because they're humiliated. Because they're humiliated. Wow. Yeah, this is you're not living in Kansas anymore. It's like you're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. You can't be trusting people. Oh my God.
This one.
Oh
There we
my
go.
God.
Meet
How many
Angela
states
Walker.
are like that?
Meet Angela Walker. She was just elected.
Meet
to
Angela
Bangor.
Walker, just elected Bangor, Maine City Council. She was previously convicted of manslaughter and sentenced 10 years for killing a tourist. Oh, killing a tourist. Great. Allegedly because he called her a racist name. He was found severely beaten and suffocated with what? With sand stuffed down his throat. Yeah, that sounds wow. So she's the new councilwoman, lunatic manslaughter woman. I don't know how it's manslaughter. I guess they couldn't prove she was trying to kill him. I guess she said, I was just trying to beat him. I was trying to kill him.
Probably got pled down or something. You know how that works. Lawyers.
A woman who spent years in prison for manslaughter just won a seat in Bangor City Council. According to the Bangor Daily News, Angela Walker and her brother Benjamin Humphrey both pleaded guilty to manslaughter on the death of a Canadian tourist in Old Orchard Beach in 2002. She also pleaded guilty to perjury and sentenced to 10 years in prison. BDN reports Walker, known by her maiden name Angela Humphrey at the time, and her brother, convicted in 2003 for the death of Derek Rogers. A fight broke out. I thought Canadians are supposed to be so nice. They called her racist names. A fight broke out after Rogers called Walker a derogatory term for Native American women. What?
Maybe a squaw.
You racist!
I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
And he was later found severely beaten and suffocated with sand, according to BDN. Wow. Wow. These woke places, they love the lunatics. They love them some lunatics.
Well, this will be the last one here. We'll just do this real quick.
Tesla supporters approve Elon Musk's historic $1 trillion pay package. Now, he's already worth $450 billion. But
I think it's 600 billion now.
Okay, well, maybe. Could be. Here's when he could pocket the windfall. He's about to get $1 trillion, the first trillionaire in the world ever. Trillion is a lot. $1 trillion is a lot. You ever hear me explain the difference between a billion and a trillion?
Yes.
Yeah, it's very significant. Tesla's shareholders approved an epic $1 trillion pay package for Elon Musk. I'm going to share it again because it's just so astonishing. It's so astonishing. Yeah. The difference between a million and a billion that we don't fully grasp and appreciate just how ginormous a billion is. The difference between a million and a billion is a million seconds ago. A million seconds ago, it was October 26th. It was 11 days ago. Is 1 million seconds. But you're talking 1 billion seconds ago. It's not 11 days ago or 11 months ago. No. A billion is not 11 days. It's 30 years. 30 freaking years. I think it's 33 years if you actually do the math.
Yeah, 33 years.
33 years is a billion. So a billion seconds ago was the early 1990s. Was a billion seconds ago, I had never met Lady Logic. Like in the last billion seconds, I gotten married, I had a kid, and then another kid, and then another kid. God bless, that happened 6 times. I've had 5 grandkids in the last billion seconds. A million was 11 days ago, and a billion seconds ago, I hadn't even met Lady Logic. Never heard of Lady Logic. That's how long it is. And I became a grandpa in that time. A full generation created in the last billion seconds. A trillion is 33,000 years. That's like if you go back to like Moses 10 times.
That goes all the way back to the Anunnaki when they were building the pyramids.
No, Moses was 3,300 years ago.
33,000. That's when the Anunnaki
But it's
came to.
33,000, right?
Yeah, they came to mine the gold and they built the pyramids.
No, it's before the pyramids. 33,000 years ago, there was no freaking pyramids.
Maybe. We don't know how old they are.
It is. The pyramids are not 30,000 years
It could
old.
be.
No, they're
Could be.
kids. No, they're not 30,000 years old. So yeah, I'll tell you right now. 30,000 years ago is well before any part of history that man is familiar with. That's a trillion. That's the difference between a million to a billion and then a billion to a trillion. So Elon Musk is about to become the first trillionaire. Not about to, because it's a payment that's supposed to happen over time. Tesla shareholders approved an epic $1 trillion pay package for Elon Musk on Thursday after the mercurial boss threatened to leave the company if he didn't get it. He's like, give it or F you. The eye-popping compensation is the largest on record and can make Musk the world's first trillionaire, although he first had to hit a series of performance targets that stretch across the next decade. The 54-year-old is already the world's richest person with a fortune of $490 billion, according to Forbes. Stock will be awarded to Musk in a set of 12 tranches. He will receive his first round of stock if Tesla hits a $2 trillion valuation and delivers 20 million vehicles. He gets another tranche if Tesla reaches market capitalization of $3 trillion and delivers 1 million of its Optimus humanoid robots. 1 million robots he has to sell. That's a lot of robots. 1 million of its Optimus humanoid robots. If Tesla scales all the hurdles, its market value would explode to 8.5 trillion, with Musk owning about a quarter of the company's shares. So they would give him $1 trillion, and he would then own another 2.5 trillion.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to tell you something.
He's hit every goal with that company. Every time he set these things out, they said, "Oh, there's no way," and that's when like I think he got screwed out of the several, 500 billion or whatever he was supposed to get, or 400 billion he was supposed to get worth of stocks from the last one because of that Delaware judge.
I don't think there's enough copper in the world for $1 trillion in pennies. It's a lot. It's a freaking lot. Yeah, I'm going to tell you this. You might say, why does he want that? Like, why does he care about it? Why is he making demands like that? The more money you have, the harder you crave money. That's part of the nature of man. The more money you have, the more starved you are for money. Like, you need it more. He's saying it's not money, it's control of company. I'm telling you, you starve from it. He has control. He has control.
Well, he has total control over Starlink and the Boring Company and X, right?
Yeah. SpaceX.
They're private. SpaceX and all that. It's all private. It's not publicly traded, as far as I know.
John Bolton in the White House in D.C., Comey, FBI in D.C., and Brennan, CIA, Florida. They're trying to tie these departments together, government con. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. They should get every one of these jackasses. They're all evil. They're all evil. All right. Here's what we're about to do as we start landing our plane over here. I am going to be doing a show Saturday night, God willing. I'm probably going to be listening to oral arguments. But if you guys have another suggestion you want me to do, check out goodlogic.locals.com. You should be hitting like and subscribe right now if you haven't hit it yet. Please make sure you hit that like button. It's really important.
Definitely should be going to subscribe to Jim Tells You.
You should definitely pop on over to Jim Tells You. And if you already did that, good on you. I'm going to be redirecting you over to Nick Rekieta, and then I'm going to try to actually get on there. I haven't said anything to him. I haven't texted him. He has no idea that I'm going to try to pop on there. But I am going to try and pop on there and hang out with him for a bit. It's been a minute since I hung out with the guy, and I like him. So I'm going to try and do that, and I'm going to be redirecting you all over on there, and I hope you'll catch us up over there.
I'm doing it too.
There you go. We're all you're all being redirected over there. And just because you're being redirected over there doesn't mean you should start eating lab meat, obviously, because that's not meant for you. That's for they, them. And I will see you all there or Saturday night. Check out goodlogic.locals.com to
posts. You'll find me. You'll find me. Don't eat some bugs. Have a good night, everyone. And as always, Godspeed.